Chase, you should have kept part of your sandwich. Just show the sandwich, take a bite, go from there. All right, welcome to episode 175 of the Zenspath Entertainment podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers. And joining me once again, we have Steven.
Jinkies.
And Chase.
G'day.
And as you all remember from last episode, Chase took over the Jinkies role from Steven.
What?
I kept it alive.
Kept
the streak alive.
So even though you weren't here, we still had it. What was that one? You threw it right at the end or something like that? Or somewhere you just kind of tossed it in there?
I don't remember where I chucked it. I chucked it in somewhere random.
I know one of the shows, Steven waited to the very end. And I was like, what the hell? And he just said it. It's like, all right, it's still there technically, so whatever. Oh, man. So happy Switch 2 launch week for those that celebrate or that follow, all this stuff.
Happy not E3 week.
Yeah, might as well be E3, but not E3 week. Somehow less organized than E3 because there's been a lot of ridiculous stuff. So we're going to do our normal what you've been doing. After that, we have some news to cover, which is pretty much just two main shows, highlights for them. And then we're going to have a big discussion about the Switch 2 launch, our thoughts on that and everything. And then Chase will just sadly join us, having not gotten a Switch 2 yet. He had the opportunity. Just, they had to pay for a trip.
Somebody decided to go to France.
Tell her to pick one up from there.
Yeah, tell her to get one. She's in France. She'll play it on the way back, and you'll never get it. She'll just keep
get confused and bring home a Wii. Wii.
Yeah. Two Wiis.
Oh, God. I'd like a Switch 2. Wii? No. A Switch 2. Wii? And we just lost all of our French listeners.
You? Oh
God, it gets worse. All right, so let's jump in from my crappy jokes you haven't heard in a while, and go into what we've been doing. So Chase, let's start with you. What you been up to?
So played a couple of levels of Doom: The Dark Ages. I can't remember the name of the level I'm up to, but it's called something Spire. I'm still enjoying the game so far. So it is really good. So I'm looking forward to kind of seeing I'm looking forward to the ending, not because I'm not enjoying the game, but because I just want to see how they're tying it in to the, being a prequel and all. But so far so good in that department. And
because I think, what did they say? It's Doom 64, then Doom: The Dark Ages, and then somewhere between that, it goes from there to Doom 2016 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I think they're adding some campaign DLC and stuff to it as well. So see what happens. And then Shino and I've still been playing Solasta. Been playing through some of the DLC stories.
Nice.
Awesome.
Getting quite a bit of mileage out of that game. It's really good.
I'll have to check it out sometime. All right, Steven, what about you? What you been up to?
So, if gaming is a buffet, I didn't get to finish my food and got a whole bunch more piled on top. So I don't know when I'm going to be able to finish any of it. And some of it will go cold. But ZZZ still playing that daily. But now they've added a huge update. They allowed you to pick a character if you didn't get one yet. They added 2 more zones. They streamlined a bunch of things. And I was just like, now? Really? Booted up Mario Kart World at some point because I wanted to see what all the hubbub was about. It is a lot of fun. I just figured out that if you have enough fingers, you can use the right analog stick to aim green shells now. So that's something new that I didn't know. I love the fact that it doesn't give you any tutorials. It doesn't hold your hand. It just says...
No, it doesn't.
It's fun.
Good luck. Figure it out.
And I got to beat Jeremy a few times, so that felt good too. And we went free roam to search for a bunch of new costumes. We're still learning who has costumes and who doesn't.
Yeah, it's been really inconsistent. Donkey Kong was in a few spots and he got nothing, and then all of a sudden he got something, and I'm like, Wait,
The
what?
only negative news I've gotten out of it is that other than some other characters getting recast, the voice of Princess Peach and Toad was told that she was being replaced the day before the game came out, and she didn't find out until she read it on Reddit that she was no longer the voice actor.
I guess were they using like archived audio previously and like they were recycling that, so that's why because she probably would have figured that out when she didn't
No,
go in
she's
to
just
record.
not doing it from here on out. So she's been recast.
Okay.
She's not Peach anymore at all. And she's like, I've been honored to play with her this long, and I wish I could have done it longer. And everybody's like, what the hell?
I wonder what the reasons are. I
Yeah.
mean, because
We'll
I
have
don't.
to find out more down the line, but that's odd.
Yeah, because between that, Martinet, and a bunch of other stuff they've been changing out.
I went all in on key cards. I got Yakuza 0 installed. I got Puyo Tetris 2S installed. And I have Street Fighter 6, which does have a code for the year 1 and 2, as do the other versions, installed. Haven't played them yet. Street Fighter 6, I just booted up to claim all the goodies. And I can't play the game until I create a character, and that's its own thing, so I gotta wait. Chris finally beat Claire Obscure Expedition 33. If this game doesn't win Game of the Year, I'm going to riot.
I still have to order it. I haven't played it yet.
This is one of the few games that I've watched somebody play in front of me and watch somebody play streaming, and I still want to play it so bad. So I finally started it. I'm playing through it and loving it and forgetting what time it is. And lastly, if anybody remembers June 6th, which was yesterday, happy Snatcher Day, everybody. I watched a playthrough of the PC Engine version yesterday to celebrate. I'm saving the worst one for last, so next year I will be checking out Snatcher on PlayStation.
Ooh.
See all the butchering that it went through. But it's been a busy week.
Yeah, you can also go back and watch my first time playing it along with Steven when we streamed it. Was it last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still got that over on the YouTube channel. All right, so I know we missed last week, and now we're going to be missing next week as well because June 14th, I have the Ghostbusters Bar Crawl that's become a yearly event with the local Panama City Ghostbusters group. So I'll be off doing that for the night. So you get today's show. We're going back, I guess, temporarily to the every other week format, and then we're back to every week again. But last Saturday we missed it because I had a fun night of playing Smash Brothers and Power Stone 2 with some friends. We got together with my friend Caleb because it was, their last little party before they have their kid, which him and his wife did just have their little boy earlier this week. The child is adorable, chunky little kid. So congrats to them on that. And I tried telling him, I was like, your life's not over. You can still play games. You can still do things. You just have a little extra responsibility.
The way you wrote it, I thought you guys had a fun night of Smash Brothers and Power Stone 2, and then she had the baby the next day.
That'd have been great for right in the middle of it. Oh, my water broke. We're like,
after the Smash.
Yeah. We're in the middle of a round. Give us a second. Or just hand her an extra controller. It's like when the kid gets here you go. I've also been playing Mario Kart World. I played through one quick little race or setup race through it, which let me unlock Donkey Kong, and then the rest of it's been just messing around with the open world, which a lot of people missed out on the fact that when you're at the main screen, you literally just hit the plus and you go straight into open world, wherever the menu is at. You're off. I missed that the first time. I'm like, where the hell is it? Because it's not an option. Like when you get to the menu, you can't just go free roam. You have to be at that main screen and just hit plus and go, which is kind of weird but funny. Once I figured that out, though, it was great. We had fun trying to teach Rachel or show Rachel about walled running because I was in the worst place to do it at the time and could not pull it off correctly because I'm still trying to figure those controls out.
Yeah, it's a new mechanic where you have to hold down the button while going straight.
Yeah, I have to break. It's like almost 10 years of muscle memory of Mario Kart 8 for holding that and doing drifting all the time. And I'm like, I have to stop doing that, and it's so difficult. But I'm really liking it. I ended up not getting the key card for Street Fighter 6. I got it digitally. What broke me on that was it was a key card, which is fine, but then it was also a code in a box because the DLC, and I was like, screw this. It's going to be all digital and just be done with it. So I picked that up, and you actually can play the game without making a character. I went through and played the entire story mode of Ken before I ever went to that mode and had to make
I
a
was trying to go
character.
to Fighting Ground because then it unlocks what I want.
Oh yeah, I've messed with that
That'll
later.
help.
I was
Sorry,
like,
that'll
I just
help.
wanted to jump into story and just pick Ken and go through it real quick just to kind of mess with it. It plays beautifully. I have it on Series X, and there is not that much of a difference. And the fact that I can just walk off with this one is just chef's kiss on that one.
For those asking, the D-pad is exquisite on the Switch 2 Pro Controller.
It is.
It is the biggest improvement they've made on it, other than the 2 new buttons on the back that you can program.
Yeah, those are fun too. I did pick up the amiibo. So for those watching this, you can see here's the Luke amiibo, Kimberly, and they're massive, by the way. And then Jamie. And I do have the card set. They're in the other room right now, but it's a really nice set of cards that I'm going to page those later just to hold on to them. And then definitely going to see what I can do with those. Sadly, though, I had to wait on Fast Fusion because I ended up spending so much on my Switch stuff that I was like, all right, I'm going to have to wait because there was a bit of a mix-up when I paid for my stuff. Everything was paid for, and I was supposed to get money back now that I was temporarily working and was getting a discount. But they took that money and ended up paying off Junior's Yakuza 0 because he'd only put 5 on it and was like, he'd have to wait. Whatever. I paid for my kid's game and he got an extra one. I don't care. Someone got to play something. So yay, you're welcome. I had a little bit of an issue with Mario Kart with my system because we found out it was digital on the system, not a card, which is what Steven got. Steven got the card. Mine, as you can see in the box, was already on there. It's not a decal. It's actually the box itself.
It's a mix with retailers. You never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, pay attention to that. But thankfully, if you find yourself in that case and you bought the physical and you're wanting to get rid of it, if you have someone else sign in their account on your Switch before you go accept it in the store, which you can go to the store and just tell it you'll download it later and it's fine. I had my friend Remy log in on my system. He went to the store, accepted it to download it, and it tied it to his account. And then he just loaded up his Switch 2, did all of his transfer, and just downloaded it, and he has it. So he just paid me $50 for it, because he had ordered a regular one. And that's what I used to pay for Street Fighter. So it worked out in the end. We all got what we wanted. But I'm going to have to wait on Fast Fusion because of that, sadly. But that'll be next week. I will get it. Huh?
Said, how dare you?
I know. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I need to save the money for right now. But I'm very tempted. But all right, so let's jump over to the group chat. And this one is going to be all about Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, because we have been playing this a good bit between Steven and I and everything. So this is the contentious title that people have had because they feel it should be a pack-in. It shouldn't have been a paid game. It was like $10. And I can kind of see the arguments back and forth. I had the experience that I prepaid for it. I had enough points, only cost me like $7, so I went ahead and pre-ordered it. So when I did my transfer and loaded up my Switch 2, it was the first icon. It had already installed it while it was doing the updates, which was kind of neat. So I kind of agreed, like, hey, if you boot it up and that's the very first thing there and it's a welcome tour, it kind of felt like it should be there, like it'd be right. But I did hear other debates on it that I liked one guy's point. He said it's like going and paying for a visit to a museum. It's like you pay to get in and you look around all the exhibits and so forth, and that's what you're expecting. So you're just kind of paying that little extra.
More
for
like
it.
An interactive museum where you get to play with all the science projects.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's get your thoughts on it as well, Steven. I don't want to just take over the whole thing.
So, at first I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know whether they were just going to shoehorn some games in for each thing it could do. When I started doing the quizzes, though, you find out a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
And surprisingly, what a lot of people are questioning or reporting on can be found in Welcome Tour. Welcome Tour tells you, yeah, you can use other USB cameras. Give them a shot, but then it says it won't work. They won't be as good as our camera because our camera is small and discreet, and
Don't
it
stand.
upsells their camera after telling you can use other ones. Um, it does little things that I was showing Chris. It shows you about how the rumble can make sound effects, which is neat.
Yeah, that was fun.
It does the same maracas test, which I think is insane when you do the rubber ball. It's uncanny now. Um, there's a lot of games you can play as kind of just having it as a party trick where you're either having friends trying to play Twister with their fingers, which is neat because I didn't know right off the bat that Switch 2 can handle 10 touches at once. So you can pinch, you can stretch, but it'll recognize up to 10 touches, which I was like, that's going to be
Well, the fun
great.
thing is, so can Switch 1. They're both 10-point touchscreens, which is kind of neat.
But nothing told you about that in Switch 1.
I had something that did, but I may
But
have just read the
anyway,
technical specs. I don't know.
it is doing what it's supposed to do. It is unlocking all these things for you to find out about it. Everything from how things are connecting, how things are made, why they won't easily break, the tests they put them through. Yes, they say they even go into their analog sticks and
I
how
about to
they
say
work.
my favorite answer is how they show why the Switch 2 Pro controller is so smooth. Like they actually show it, and I was like, oh, it never contacts the side. It's on the bottom, and how they padded it. I'm like, I understand now.
But you're basically shrunken, and you go through all parts of the controllers and the accessories. But you can go even deeper, and you can go into the inner workings of it too to see where the battery is, the rumble motors, which is really neat because it's part of the unlocking portion of it. But
Mm-hmm.
I just like finding out little things that nobody's reporting on because they're just playing it at face value for a couple minutes, and people who are saying you need to have all these extra accessories in order to get 100%. If you play through it, the very first section has a character that says, hey, not everybody has a 4K TV, so there's a way past that. If you
Mm-hmm.
put in SOS in Morse code on your controller, it'll tell the game, I don't have that, and it'll give you the medals for that mini game. So if you don't want to do guess the frame rate or find the pixel, which is insane by the way.
Oh God,
um,
I don't know how I did it, but I can
but
tell my vision is not like it used to be.
but yeah, both of those, like, you might need it, or the camera one, which the camera was a little low quality in Welcome Tour when it was high quality in GameChat. So
Yeah, I had to
curious
zoom in
about
because I
that.
didn't feel like moving it. I left it on the TV, so I'm like, yeah, just zoom in on me. I don't care.
Because it wouldn't recognize a lot of my like faces, and I was like, this is iToy all over again, but or Connect.
It got mine. I got pretty close to 100%.
Um, but no, like it was fun because I could show people and quickly jump to the different mini games and have people just
That was
try them
nice.
out. So I think because of the amount of time you'd be putting into it, I think it is well worth it. Will it be a better deal down the line when they probably eventually package it with it? Yes. I feel eventually they're going to either throw that in or just have a sale on it, because eventually it's going to lose its luster. But for right now, it is a much better companion than 1-2 Switch. I'm so glad 1-2 Switch wasn't a pack-in because just wasn't as good as this is.
Yeah,
This
no,
they
1-2
put a
Switch
lot
was
of
a nice tech demo,
they
but
put a lot of care into this one, and I guarantee you're going to find out a lot of stuff you never knew about the system and why it's not just a Switch One. Um, when you play through the Welcome Tour, which is nice.
yeah, I kind of wish they had done the route, and Nintendo's done this before with certain things where, and I've seen other companies do it as well. The first run of people probably should have had it installed. Like if you got the system day one or whatever, or the first orders, it should have been part of it, honestly, as a welcoming thing. And then, after a month or whatever, make it a paid thing. That way people that got it early, your first buyers, get that little extra thing. And I'm not saying I'm not complaining about it at all. I actually had a blast. The $7, I've spent more on a frappuccino and gotten more fun out of this. So like it's not that big a deal. But it would have been kind of nice to kind of pave over that a little bit for some people, more of as a viewing thing, which I get the Switch 2 being expensive, but I mean,
Some
it
of
is
it
what it is.
definitely squashes any concerns you might have too when you play through it,
Mm-hmm.
because you find out, using the mouse on your lap, how it works. Try using one up, one down. Try switching.
I had, and I'm curious about this. Like, I had issue with one mini game, and I was talking to you about it, and that was the one where you had to use the mouse mode and the HD2 Rumble to kind of feel a texture and feel a shape, and it was just I could not get it to work correctly for me, or maybe I just couldn't. It was too subtle, and it didn't help that at first the table I was using it on, this little folding table, had almost the exact same texture as what was on the shapes. So I could not tell the difference. I got
Yeah,
that, and I was like, I had to break out
playing
a record
playing on the
cover.
leg was definitely better, or lap as they call it in the game.
Yeah,
And
that's what
what
I
I
had to
did,
eventually do was actually
what
pull
I
my
did
shorts
was
up.
just like, what area should there be something that there's not, and if it's not, then it boils down to only these shapes. Let me check another area, and if it doesn't rumble, then it's these shapes. So it was a process of elimination, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, I was trying to get through it so I could get the times out of the way. I did eventually get it, and that's the only one that I was just like it. I felt like maybe the vibration should have been a little more. It was almost too subtle for its own good, which I get what they're going for. But unless you're playing on like a smooth mouse pad or trying to do it on your leg, if someone's at a desk or a table trying to use it, which you might have sitting on a couch, that normal texture kind of interfered with it, but everything else was fine. I absolutely had a blast with a lot of the little mini games and challenges. Um, the one where you had to move the ball through the mazes can kiss my. I had to keep doing that one over and over again.
It's like irritating stick taken to a different level.
Yeah, I got them. I got them all in great time. I got it. The last one at like 1.28 seconds, I think, is what you had to be faster than 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, for all you like mega completionists out there, just know that every minigame has a hidden third medal. That if you do exceedingly well, you'll get a third medal.
Not every one of them has a third. They'll open up
Well,
a third one, but
it doesn't tell you what it'll be though. You just have to get really, really good. I think every single one has a third one, because it doesn't tell you that if you had to get 0 on the Rumble guest game, that you got a third medal. You
see,
just had to get it.
okay, one of my coworker that ended up getting a Switch 2, he got 0 on one of them. He didn't get a medal for that.
Yeah, I got a third medal for getting 0 on the Rumble game.
Okay.
So yeah,
I know the golf one, when I first did it, I just hit it really hard to try and managed to get a hole in one with like less than a second. I was like, okay, I guess that was easy. But I had a lot of fun exploring the internal parts because everything is very accurate for how it's built. I'm actually kind of shocked that they're just like, all right, here's the actual internal layouts of the Joy-Cons, of the the Switch 2 itself.
yeah. The only thing I'll say is I know the website iFixit gave it like a super low rating because they said they don't like that there's glue being used on it. So like, will the glue stick again? They don't like that you have to peel off stuff to get to certain screws. And I was just like, they really just don't want you taking it apart yourself.
Yeah, I mean that's using glue to hold things in place is very much an industry standard. Every iPhone or Android you have is using that to hold components inside because they get so thin that you can't use screws. You can't, it takes thickness to be able to put a casing to hold that in there. So if they just use a double-sided adhesive material, they could just have it stuck there and it's not going anywhere until you have to
But
peel it off.
overall, I think especially if you're the person that likes to unlock stuff, once you have unlocked all the mini games, you can play that with family and friends because it's very simple. Nothing crazy amount of buttons. It's just, can you find the rumble? Can
Well,
you get the thing through the maze? Can you move your mouse and dodge all the balls? Yeah, it gets harder.
did you
But
do the one where you had to do the combinations with this thing?
not yet.
Oh my god. I'm still trying to get the third one where it's random and it has you have to assign the back two to A and B because there is no physical way to be able to hit A and B and the other buttons and do the other stuff, and that's a challenge. I've made it within like 0.3 seconds of almost making it, and I'm so pissed when it's so close.
Yeah, one character says the hardest game in the entire Welcome Tour is the 99 metal falling blocks. Falling.
Yes, because that one you have 2 ships you have to do where you have to get like so many stars with both of them while trying to steer with 2 hands. And
Yeah, and it says, and one guy's
oh,
like, just give it to a friend; they'll help you.
I don't have anybody here that can do that. I might have to train one of the boys. All right, get over here and help me out. So I don't know. I do agree. Welcome Tour is a lot of fun. So I'm fine with it. I think people should get it. If you're in a family group, only buy it once. You can share it. Just it makes it worth it even more. Because both of my kids, they got Switch 2s, the oldest and the youngest, and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna buy it. I'm curious about it." And I was like, "Don't you dare! That just is a waste of money if you do that." Because I could just send you the game and you could just play it and not have
There's
to worry about it.
there's no like game share or anything else aspect. So just
Yeah,
pass it around. It's one of those things like you should read this. It's like a book you should read.
yeah, for sure. All right, so let's jump into some news. I'm sure Chase wants to talk again.
Let's jump into the Sony state of yay for once.
Yeah, so we had the Sony State of Play on June 4th, which was kind of funny because if you watch the trailers, everything is just coming to PlayStation. But if you actually go look it up, only 2 games in the entire showing is not going somewhere else, which is fine. I just find it really funny that they always stick with that. It can only say PS5 and maybe sometimes PC. Like that's all it'll ever say. Which Xbox, they've got an event tomorrow, so we'll have to talk about this on our next one, depending on what it is. They sometimes do actually show other systems, so it's kind of weird. Anyways, we're not going to cover everything because there was so much crap between all these different shows. So I put the highlights of stuff I was interested in. Hopefully you guys, if you had some, we can add them in here, or if you didn't already do it. But to start it off, we had Luminous Arise. Aries. I only did it because I like the Luminous games, so I'm just kind of hoping to play that on the go eventually.
So busy. So busy.
Yeah, this is from the same guys that did Tetris Effect, which made a lot of sense when I realized that, because the Tetris Effect is meant to be like a visual thing while you're in VR playing it. It translates okay over to standard. Like I got it on Switch and can play it on other stuff as well, but it is really impressive in VR. So this might be one like Chase, you guys might be interested in because you have a PSVR 2. Which I did find out recently, it came down a lot in cost. It's like under $300 now. So that's kind of
I
nice.
enjoy it. I just wish they made more games for it. Like,
you got one right there.
well, yeah.
And technically, there was also Thief VR, which has made a lot of people pissed, apparently, but that's coming to it.
I haven't tried it actually.
Yeah. So, like I said, Tetris Effect team and Tetsuya Mitsuguchi that worked on it. So it's going to be busy, but it's going to be very pretty. All right. Next up, we had Pragmata coming in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. This one I've been waiting for a while because the first showing of it was back in 2020 during the PS5 reveal. It's, this is from Capcom, and it's looking good. I'm very happy with how it's turning out. Chase, are you familiar with this one at all?
No, actually, I'm not.
So when the PS5 first revealed, they had a weird trailer of like this little girl in this weird city looks up at the moon, and there's this guy that's walking around in this spacesuit that everybody thought was.
Oh yeah, okay. I know.
Yeah,
what
it was
you're
thought
talking
from the other company's logo, but this is the continuation of that. It's coming out this or next year, so at least it's alive.
Yeah, it reminds me of Dead Space meets God of War. So
about. Okay.
because you have a little child you have to take care of, and like
I
Dead
don't think
Space,
she's
you're going around
human.
space. There's some platforming, but it's basically the same viewpoint as Dead Space. So I was like, that's never a bad thing.
I don't know if
Okay.
they've confirmed it or not, but I think that little girl's like an android or something because she's walking around the moon without a spacesuit on, so that's kind of a dead giveaway because she's not dead. You're in a spacesuit. You're in a big spacesuit, but she's just trouncing around, little 8-year-old girl or whatever. Like, you should be dead, kid.
Sounds like, yeah.
This next one, was a very happy surprise for me because I did not know what was going on until I realized who it's from. Romeo is a Dead Man, coming out in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. This is a new game from Grasshopper Manufacturer, which I love the ridiculous crap they make. It's an over-the-top, violent, I guess, zombie slasher title from the mind of Suda51. And they refer to it on their own website as the bloodiest action game yet, which is saying a lot because they've made some bloody games. So you're not much for this one, huh, Steven?
No, because I feel that unless they show more, they're taking a step back. Like we've already done this with Lollipop Chainsaw, and we've already done this with stuff like Never Dead. So, and No More Heroes has more to do in it. So I want to know what else is there to do other than slash.
I think there's going to be more. Like I said, this one's not until next year, so this is a first time reveal for it. So they're just kind of showing off part of it. And I don't know what was up with the story. Like the art style is almost different. Like this, I thought it was VR at first, the first person perspective they had. And there's like a family, very weird family eating dinner. Someone knocks on the door. One guy gets up to go over to the door. You hear this scream. The other character gets up, runs to the door, and the guy's like half torn away. Like the left side of his body is just ripped off, the skin and so forth. You see some weird zombie thing just chewing on his arm in the background. Never gets mentioned by them at all. And, the other character picks this guy up and then just shoves some device into his eye, which drills its way in, causes him to explode. And you see little robots like picking away at like cells inside of a body, and he gets transformed into this like undead or mechanical creature that's fighting, which is where the Romeo as a dead man comes from. And it completely changes art style. It's not this weird pixelated anime style. It goes to a very realistic anime style, I guess.
Basically, play this game high, folks.
I think you could. I don't think you have to be high to still be confused by it. But I don't know. I'm curious about it. I want to give it a shot and see what's going on with it. Next up, we had Silent Hill F, which we knew about this one, but we got a release date of September 25th. Once again, coming to PS5, Series X and S, and PC. Still looking really good. Like everything they showed us has been great. Have you guys got any thoughts about it? Or
I'm excited. It looks really good.
Nice. Chase, are you interested in Silent Hill at all?
I mean, I might give it a shot. I don't know. Me and horror, I'm very particular about.
Yeah, true. Well, we have a couple of horror announcements this show, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
This next one, Bloodstained, the Scarlet Engagement, coming 2026 for PS5, Series XS, and PC, which just has an absolutely beautiful Metroidvania style layout, or, the 2.5D, and it's a prequel to the other Bloodstained. I'd seen people talking about apparently it has a co-op option, but I could not verify that before the show. So I don't know if that's just another character that was showing up in there or if somebody actually can control them, which would be cool. I can imagine that would probably be an online only type of thing. You have to do a weird split screen and it gets odd at that point. Afterwards, we had Digimon Storytime Stranger coming October 3rd, 2025. I only mentioned this one because I had a friend who was really happy and excited about this, as well as our very own Rachel was happy and excited about a Digimon game. So, keep your thumbs to yourself there, Stephen. That one is coming out for PS5, Series X and S, and PC as well. I'm not a big Digimon guy as well, but hey, Rachel will probably be happy about it. This next one I had kind of mixed feelings on. Final Fantasy Tactics, the Ivalice Chronicles, coming September 30th of this year for PS4, PS5, Series X and S, Steam, Switch 1 and 2, which is nice that they actually clarified that. So the big draw on this is a remake of the PlayStation 1 version of Tactics. You have two modes you can play in, Classic and Enhanced. Classic features the original graphics and gameplay along with the updated War of the Lions translation, which was the PSP port. And then Enhanced has a new interface, updated visuals, extensive additions and adjustments to the story, fully voiced dialogue, adjustable battle speeds, new difficulty levels, and there was even more they listed. Were you gonna say something, Steven?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Right now only the PS5 and Switch have physical edition. Switch One.
Mm-hmm.
However, they did say if you buy the Switch One version, it'll be a free update to Switch Two. And if you are unlucky enough to live in Japan, the Switch 2 edition is a code in a box.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, Square's got so many games I want to get, but their handling of Switch 2 stuff has made me very nervous for anything they make. It's going to be basically just, screw you. It's going to be code in a box or key card. No matter what, they're going to
FF7 remake, calling it.
Final Fantasy 7 remake. I'm not gonna be surprised if they turn around and we're gonna make it a streaming only game just to be complete assholes.
No cloud versions. I will riot. As well as for Expedition 33, I'll add in that they should not ever do a cloud edition ever again.
They shouldn't be doing code in a box, but they're still doing it. Square will do whatever Square can to be as cheap as possible, it seems. Anyways, I kind of want to play this one. The enhanced version, I like the extra features. I don't like how the game looks. It looks like you take an emulated title and just puts overdone smoothing all over it. And it
the Vaseline effect.
Yeah, it just crushes the pixel art, which if you've played the Tactics series, any of the versions of it, it's a big quality of it. It's like that nice crunchy texture look between all of them. So don't know. I love the Ivalice games. That's been one of my favorite parts of Final Fantasy for a while. Be it Tactics, my preferred version of Tactics Advance, which I know a lot of people get pissy when I say that, but whatever.
That's the best one.
Thank you. It is. I love that one. So, all right, on to the next oddball game that caught my interest. I've been watching this one for a while. It's called Baby Steps. We have a release date now coming September 8th for PS5 and Steam. I know this is dumb because you're just basically a guy that you're having to relearn how to walk. So you're having to make weird steps trying to get yourself across everything, but
you gotta poop.
Not this one. Oh, well, no, he goes to the bathroom, but thankfully you don't. Yeah,
he's just in the beginning. He's like, I really need to poop.
Yeah, there's another game that showed up in one of these shows. I don't even mention that kept focusing on the fact you've got to manage when you take a shit, and I was like, no, why? This is stupid.
That game I want actually.
Oh my god,
because I want to shit hard, like it said. But this is the game
right,
made
Chase,
by the same guy who made Getting Over It, so prepared to be frustrated because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I at least want to give it a shot. I'm hoping it's not crazy expensive, but it looks funny. Why not? After that, we had Hirogami coming September 3rd, 2025 for PS5 and PC. I don't know why you're doing that because I am very excited for this one.
Hyperlight Drifter called. They want their protagonist back.
I don't remember that one having an origami-based character, but
it's a filter.
It's an art style, whatever. But it's a classic action adventure game where you transform your character into origami to different forms. Automatically, one of them is a frog that you can jump around, so it's automatically a win in my household. Because frogs are the best. So, I don't know. That was coming to PS5 and PC. I'll probably end up picking that one up eventually as well. I don't quite get why you don't like it, because it doesn't look like Hyperlight Drifter to me. Because this one, everything looks like it's made of paper.
This has been there, done that.
I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing. Like I said, it's based on classic. What else would they make it look like? If it's based on origami, how can it
make it look like a totally different game or cancel it because it's garbage?
I still don't get that though. Origami is paper. Why can't it look like paper? That's like saying you hated Yoshi's Crafting World.
There's just nothing that stands out. Origami's been done already. We got Tearaway. So
it doesn't mean it stops. We shouldn't have any board games. We have chess. It already got it right. Don't make anything else. Yes, Steven, that's how you sound. Chase is just like, what the hell are these two on?
It's just not my style of game. I don't like garbage. Okay.
Damn, because that is all the opinion you've got.
Oh god.
I'll give it this. It's got to be more fun than No Man's Sky. All right.
Damn it, man!
And Majora's Mask.
No.
No, you're saying Majora's Mask is more fun than
Majora's Mask is in a different category. When you feel like shit and you want to feel like more shit, you play Majora's Mask.
Oh damn.
Oh, I hate you both. All right. We should settle this in Mortal Kombat. So moving on, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection coming 2025 for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series XS, PC, Switch 1 and 2. This one should not be made because we've had fighting games before, so it must be absolute garbage. Right, Steven? Is that how you work this out?
No, this was the greatest announcement they've had other than the last announcement.
It's so weird, the combination. Like, I'm excited for this, really, but so they are adding rollback netcode to all of them, which is great. They said literally at the press of a button, you can unlock all the secret characters, levels, and other stuff. So you don't have to fight through earning them all. There's a bunch of documentaries and behind the scenes stuff, which is what I really love from these collections. I always love getting stuff like that. But the list of games is what kills me. So we've got Mortal Kombat that comes in the flavors of arcade, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy, and Game Gear. I have both of those. They are rough. Mortal Kombat 2.
Wouldn't you just play the arcade version?
You can play all of them. But if we get this, we need to have an online match of Mortal Kombat on Game Boy.
Oh, jeez.
We won't know if it's lag or just the game.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 2 comes in arcade, Super Nintendo, Genesis, Game Boy, and 32X, which is nice that they brought that version back. I'm surprised none of these have the Sega CD versions. Mortal Kombat 3 had arcade, Super Nintendo, and Genesis. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 is the arcade and Super Nintendo versions. Mortal Kombat 4 is just the arcade, so no gold or like no N64 or Dreamcast version. And then this I thought was really funny. The Game Boy Advance releases of Mortal Kombat Advance, Deadly Alliance, and Mortal Kombat Tournament Edition.
I'm curious, though, if they're going to pull an Atari collection and they're going to add in Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
I wonder if that would be...
Because those had exclusive characters for each version, the chameleons.
Well, yeah.
And the N64 version had fatalities for the boss characters. Mm-hmm. So it still holds a place. Armageddon can die, but Mortal Kombat Trilogy could fit in right after 3 or Ultimate. So I feel like that's going to be a last-minute addition. I'm calling it now that they're going to pull an Atari and be like, there's an update that adds another game.
I don't want them to do that because I was hoping this collection, if they actually make it physical, is all there. That's one thing I didn't like about Atari, that I felt like took it from a nice archival piece to, okay, cool, we're archival light from a company that focuses so much on doing that. You made so much of it just gonna disappear eventually, which was weird. So if you're gonna do a collection and have it there. Like, don't add, these things to it.
But if you watch the trailer, except for the first thing they mentioned, which a lot of people said they didn't do a good job on, they got their feet wet though, which was Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Edition. Mm-hmm. The other two also had editions after the fact, so because it was Atari and the not the Cowabunga collection. I'm thinking Shredder's Revenge, but they did add online later with an update to certain games on Cowabunga collection.
Yeah, that one they ended up releasing, or no, that was Shredder's Revenge. They released multiple times. I think I bought the damn thing 3 separate times. They were very Capcom Street Fighter of you guys.
But they do like updating and adding modes, and in Atari's case, games. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, like adding updates for online functionality is one thing because you can't use that without internet anyways.
I want a pre-order bonus that gives me Mythology Sub-Zero.
I would say the N64 version. That's the one I liked. But loaded faster. All right, so this next one I got some feelings on. 007 First Light coming 2026 for PS5, Series X and S, Switch 2, and PC. It looks fine. I'll join you guys, whatever. Baby James. I heard the great jokes with the James Bond Jr. Like, oh, hey, we're getting the realistic version of that now. He feels like he's way too young to me. Just kind of because I've always enjoyed a lot of the James Bond stuff, and when the way they normally age him for these things, it kind of feels like they're trying to make him almost a teenager, which feels weird because he's supposed to have already had a career with the British Navy and the other stuff in his life before he went into the 00 program with MI6.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to give it a shot based on the fact that IOI Interactive makes really good games. So even if you don't like the story, the game's probably going to be fantastic. And the other thing is James Bond, when done correctly, does get kind of redone whenever they change actors. They like to change things up and the story changes a bit. So, you know, if you really like the Daniel Craig version, that's going to be different, yet somehow still kind of in canon with the Sean Connery or the John Lazenby or, you know, all the different ones they've had. So who knows? It could just be a new take on Bond and they could pull it off.
It's giving me old school vibes because even seeing the driving sections, I was like, yes.
I thought it was interesting where they had he was chasing after a new Aston Martin or newer age Aston Martin or Aston Martin. Sorry. I don't know why I keep saying Austin.
Total delay.
I keep wanting to say Austin Powers. I think that's why I keep saying it. Aston Powers.
There you go.
But he comes rolling out what I thought was a Mustang at first. I was like, did they really put his ass in a late 60s, early 70s fastback? But then when it gets out into the light, you're like, oh, okay, no, it's a different, I think it's a European car that he's in. But I don't know. I want to see where it goes. I like the cast. The voice work seems really well done. We all seem kind of excited about it. And then
if there's any developer that should make a 007 game, it should be the Hitman people. Like it fit.
Oh, yeah.
Like there's no other developer that I could even thought of that have been like, oh
Speaking of Hitman.
Yeah, this I saw. I'm glad you added the note. I forgot to add it in here, but they announced a crossover with Le Chiffre, who was the main villain from Casino Royale.
Still voiced by Mads Mikkelsen in this game.
Yep. Still played by him, still voiced by him, which is great. They even brought him out on stage. He was talking about how much he loved coming back to the role again. But just having him face off against Agent 47, I think is hilarious. And it looks like it takes place during one of his card games.
Casino Royale card game, yeah.
I don't know if it's the actual Casino Royale one.
They tried to get as close as they could to it because they wanted to emulate that.
I thought it was because they had talked about he had done them before. He liked to gamble and do these games. He had only done, and we're just talking about the movie now because I fucking love that film. He did that particular card game trying to cover his ass and get the money back using his experience and his ability to play cards to do it. So I thought this might be like an earlier one. That way they don't have to worry about Daniel Craig or anything in there. It's all separate. But you do see some other people, I think, that were in the movie. So I don't know. It could be a take on it. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I'll give it a shot. Babyface Bond. Oh man. He's going to ask for a martini and they're going to ask for an ID.
Yeah.
What's your name? Bond. James Bond. Great. Do you have your driver's license?
I use Gold Bond.
For my diaper. Yeah. No. All right. That's getting weird. Let's move on. Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls 2026 for PS5 and PC. I don't like this one because it feels...
Here it goes.
Well, we've had better fighting games before. The only reason I say that, go ahead and take your sip. Yeah, do your spit take. I don't care. It has potential to be really good. What I'm worried about, and everything they've shown and talked about, this apparently may be the lineup. Like, this is the fighters you get. And I'm worried they're already planning on trying to shove a bunch of DLC in there. And I'm like, we're getting to the point we're going to have a fighting game with one damn character, no ability for both of you to play it. and you can't even do a 2-player match until we get fucking DLC paid for. Like, we're
No,
just
they already did
slowly
that. It was
whittling
the
it
free
down.
version of KI.
That had more crap in it. That's another game I bought 3 times and still did not end up with the entire game. So weird. I like the art style. I like the fact they're going with more of the anime style for it, because Marvel did do a Marvel anime series with the comics and stuff that was kind of fun to explore. But the cast we have so far: Captain America, Steve Rogers; Spider-Man, which is Peter Parker; Iron Man, which is Tony Stark. I only have to verify all these because,
Giving away all their secret identities.
well, they all could be different people. That's what's funny. If you just say
What if it's
Spider-Man,
Roger
it could be,
Stevenson?
well, it could be
Parker
Miles
Stevenson?
Morales. It could, it could be Sam Wilson. It could be Rhodey as Iron Man. Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan; Ghost Rider, which I'm kind of glad they used the Robbie Reyes version, which is neat, so that he'll have the muscle car. I thought that was a fun take on him. Doctor Doom, Storm, and Star-Lord. I'm kind of hoping we get more characters than just this. And that's my only concern, especially for something that's supposed to be 2 fighters on each side at a time. Feels like you're going to have a lot of repeat matches. Go ahead, Steven.
If you kept watching it after you cleaned up after the announcement, they rewound and the video, and then they did a behind the scenes. So the guy says they will announce characters throughout the year. So I'm guessing they will announce the next one at Evo. Would be just the smartest thing to do, because Sony owns Evo, so why not?
Yeah.
Since this is the reason it's only PS5 and PC, it's because PlayStation Studios is teaming to make sure this doesn't come out on anything else unless they decide so.
I think this is Sony. I still put your conspiracy theory hats on, people. I'm going into that one. I still think Sony's abusing the whole use of Spider-Man with Marvel, trying to control licenses even though they don't have them. They don't own the exclusive to games, but they have tried to stranglehold that, because they're like, well, if you don't give it to us, we're going to hold back Spider-Man from your Marvel movies. And they tried to do that right before Infinity War. So
the only thing I will say here is the game is a little bit of a monkey's paw as well, because they've been in development for over 2 to 3 years. And the fact that this came out makes more sense of why Capcom was like, look at all our fighting collections we're making with Marvel characters. Here they are. Because there's a belief here that because this game is coming out, that Marvel vs. Capcom 4 is kind of dead, because they're working closely with this one instead. But on the flip side, you might get Capcom vs. SNK 3. So, because there's more hints on that, depending on the 2 characters in City of the Wolves coming from Street Fighter and the 2 Fatal Fury characters in Street Fighter.
Right.
So, overall, I'm excited for this.
Good relationship.
There better not be any dropped frames with 4v4, so we'll see. The way it's done, though, is you have 1 leader and you have 3 assists, but you can switch to make the other 3 assists, so it's not always just a tag in the traditional sense. So,
yeah, I had gone through part of the stuff after the trailer, looking to see if like there's artwork or something in the background hinting at any other characters, because I know I get they're going to try and spread out some of the announcements, but I have an honest, and hopefully you understand the honest concern with fighting games where they will pull back so much expecting to have a bunch of DLC. Because like with Street Fighter 6, I wasn't as annoyed with that one because they've had DLC characters, but they gave a good sized roster when it started. That was a kind of actually a little bit larger than traditional Street Fighter, ensemble that they've been adding to. I just don't want it to be where you're paying full price for such a little amount. So we'll see. Hopefully they'll have some other ones. Are there any Marvel characters you guys would want to see in this?
Galactus.
Yeah, he's already been in one.
Shrink him down.
Shrink him down. He can change. I've had to already have that argument with people. I'm not going to sound nerdy enough, but I'll just push the glasses up and go, well, he can decide his size.
Or give us Ant-Man so he can shrink down and go in somebody's butt.
God damn
it. And then expand.
Yes.
Fatality.
If he did that to Wolverine, it would kill himself, because like he would hit his hips or some bone part and crush himself.
But for me,
he couldn't break out of it.
But for me though, just like an announcement we're going to talk about later, this is also a chance for them to kind of give a highlight on something that's not always the Capcom staple for the Marvel vs. Capcom series.
Mhm.
So they can go with the character we've been waiting to see. They don't have to go the safe route. So it'll be very interesting to see who they pick, as long as they're well known and they do. And while I believe they might follow the movies, I think Marvel Rivals is covering that for the most part. So we're safe because Marvel Rivals is doing everything to go with the movies. So I think these two, this and another game we're going to talk about, have the freedom to kind of add characters that people have wanted to play for a long time.
Give me Deadpool.
Yeah.
This game sucks.
Deadpool, I think, kind of gets overplayed a little bit. Like
He'll
you
be
gotta
a
have those
season
jokes.
pass for sure. He'll be a
I
season
think
pass.
Probably,
more than
unfortunately.
Deadpool, I would like to see, if we're gonna have characters that aren't represented much that could be fun, I want to see Squirrel Girl, because that can be an absolutely hilarious character. You know, and she beat the hell out of Thanos in the most weirdest comic. So who knows? So yeah, that pretty much wraps up what we had to cover for the Sony State of Play. What did you guys think of the actual State of Play itself?
I was
Steven?
an A for once.
Okay. Chase, what about you? Or did you watch it?
It was an A. Yeah, I thought it was A for all right. Like they actually gave us shit we wanted for once.
Except
I
for one
agree.
game, they showed stuff that was interesting in all aspects.
Yeah. I was pretty excited about a lot of stuff. I guess I can go with an A on that as well. So yeah, good job, Sony.
Sony's moving up in the world.
But the funny thing, like I said, the funny thing is, every one of these games is going to other systems. There's like two that I didn't even mention that are just on PlayStation, which is kind of funny. So who knows? All right, let's move on to the next little bit. All right, so our another incredibly long discussion, Summer Game Fest 2025.
Summer Snooze Fest.
Yeah, I mean, I pulled out a pretty good amount of things I at least wanted to talk about, but
Yeah.
there was a lot of crap I just skipped straight through. And just a lot of stuff. So, first off, we had Sonic Racing Cross Worlds coming September 25th of this year for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series XS, Switch 1 and 2, and PC.
Did they announce Switch 2?
I went and looked on the website and they have Switch 2 on there.
Oh.
So,
if it's a free upgrade.
well, knowing Sega, it's going to be a completely separate release. They don't do the upgrades at
And
all.
it'll be on a key card
Yeah,
or code in the box.
Switch 2 will be on a key card because they don't like doing
Every
those
character will be a
cartridges.
code in the box.
And they've already said they will do no free upgrades. Because even people that like recently bought the Sonic X Shadows, you have to buy it again. They will give you no option to
And
upgrade.
your save does not transfer over.
Yep, which is aggravating. Come on, Sega. So it's new Sonic Racing game, which has had a pretty good track record. I've had fun with them over the years. They're not all perfect, but I've really enjoyed them, especially like Sonic Racing Transformed. I thought that was a really good one. They announced, along with a normal staple of characters, they have DLC characters included, including Hatsune Miku. I cannot speak today. Someone say it.
Hatsune Miku.
Thank you. For some reason, I cannot word today. Ichiban Kasuga from Like a Dragon, Joker from Persona 5, and then so there's going to be 10 more characters planned for free, as Steven just typed in with really big letters. Free! So they are confirmed, huh? Nice. They're adding in other characters and tracks via Season Pass, which the first one they've shown off so far was Minecraft, which was kind of surprising. But they have Steve, Alex, and a Creeper so far as racers. And yes, you can race in a minecart. At least you get that. 5 other Season Pass packs are planned. I hadn't seen that, so thanks again, Steven, for finding that. And then there's a collector's edition exclusive to limited run games. So do we know if that collector's edition will include all the content when it's out, or is that just the main game as like a not numbered release?
It looks like just the main game because you're getting like 2, I don't even know if they move, carts of Shadow and Sonic. You're getting a bunch of trading cards. You're getting like a bunch of stuff that you either like or dislike. And if you're listening or watching this, skip the next 10 seconds if you don't want to know. But they did leak. SpongeBob is going to be one of the worlds. Because there's already footage leaked of him driving around and Bikini Bottom.
I'm not even mad about that. That's kind of funny. I'm wondering if they got the voice actors back.
Feels like the people that feels like they're just like grasping at like really random places for like these DLC characters. But okay.
It's good to have something like Minecraft, but you have Sega, you have such a rich IP to pick from. And I
That's still
understand
such a
Like a
weird
Dragon, Hatsune Miku, and Persona 5.
Yeah.
But some of these other ones you did in a previous game and it was tremendous. So like give us Skies of Arcadia again, give us Golden Axe again. Like
Yeah,
I
they
know
got a
you
whole
have
history
10
of
more characters coming, so do it right.
Jet
Because
Set
they're
Radio.
supposed to be they're supposed to be having the big Sega reimagining and reinvention of all their classic titles. So what better way to push that than to have those classic characters in your racing game?
I know you're as nervous about that as I am because they have gone terrifyingly quiet about it.
At least Shinobi, the first one, is looking amazing.
Finger crossed on that one. I really hope so. All right, this next one I had to include because I had to watch the trailer 3 times because I was just laughing and going like, "This is real." So it's called Felt That Boxing. So far, just announced for Steam. It is pretty much Punch Out meets adult humor puppets. And I absolutely love it, and it's actual puppets. I guess they just framed out the animation when they were doing it, but you're playing a puppet who is trying to win a boxing tournament with a bunch of giant people that are all cheating because you're trying to save an orphanage that's going to get torn down with the kids in it. So they're going to die if you don't fix it. I was just like, all right, I'm in. I just want to see how this plays. So yeah, if you've not watched the trailer for this, do yourself a favor and go watch it and just be confused and laughing at the same
And
time.
remember that it's Unreal Engine 5. That's how real it looks.
Oh, I kept debating if it was pre-rendered or if they were actually made the puppets because it looked like they made them. Like they just
No,
had actual puppets.
that's all rendered in Unreal Engine 5.
I got to give him credit for like the actual physics of the puppets because
Right?
one part of it when he gets punched, it looks like someone just grabbed a puppet and just threw the puppet and caught the footage. And I was like, I'm okay with that. That's a good way to do it. Damn, that's in game. That's insane to me. That's more impressive than some of these like, here's what Zelda looks like in Unreal. Like, screw that shit. You made a puppet and you fooled me. Like, I thought it was a real puppet. Good job, guys. That's gonna put Muppets out of work. Damn it. All right, on to our next one. Out of Words, coming for PS5, Series XS, and Epic Game Store. I just wanted to mention this one because of the really, like, I love the art style. Everything is handmade. This one, they did confirm, is not CG doing it. They actually stop motion and animate everything and all that, which, whether we like the game or not, is impressive. But it's handcrafted co-op adventure with 2 characters who find themselves dropped into a land without their mouths. And immediately I'm thinking, so you have a time limit before they die of thirst? You got like 3 days, unless you're pouring water up your nose to try and drink something, which would be terrible. And then you're going to starve to death. Yeah, neti pot. You're going to end up aspirating water before you get to drink it. That just seems terrifying to me to have no mouth, and they seem very cheerful. You're like, no, that's bad.
You don't get sick. You'll be fine.
If you do get sick in one of your nostrils,
don't have to sneeze or throw up, otherwise it's coming out of the nose.
Oh, that's even worse. You get a cold in one nostril stuff, so you're like, I'm halfway to death here, because it's not like you can breathe out anything else. So I have no idea about the other stuff. It's just the weird idea of having no mouth. Had to mention it. All right, moving on. Lego Voyagers, coming for PS4, PS5, Series X and S, Switch 1. This has friend pass support, kind of like Split Fiction does. So if you get one copy, someone else can play with you. I don't know why Steven did the massive thumbs down on that, because it seems like a cute, fun, creative co-op game. that
Don't play it with your kids, everybody. Do not.
Why not?
You're gonna fall a lot because you're not building your Legos correctly.
That's half the point. You're supposed to play these terribly. Like that's what co-op is for, man. I'm gonna try and play this with Amanda, and she is terrible at most games, so this is going to be really funny. We'll be talking about my divorce next year. Hopefully not. I like my marriage. Don't. So, on a completely separate note, I wanted to ask you guys this: do we think because of the Switch 2 coming out now and about the power level, we're going to continue seeing more PS4 games coming out? Because it's basically like you can kind of downport a Switch 2 title to a PS4, probably not too hard. So it's like they could kind of keep that system alive and keep making money because a lot of people still play it.
I think it's also because PS5 isn't selling. So
that's the other reason they need to keep doing it.
But for me, if it plays on Series S, that already tells me it'll play on Switch too.
Yeah, for the most part. What do you think, Chase?
Yeah, no, I think you're pretty spot on with that. I think the Switch 2 is keeping the Series S and the PS4 alive.
Series S and the PS4, yeah. Well, we'll see how that plays out. We have the Street Fighter 6 Season 3 shown off with a live-action trailer revealing Alex, Sea Viper, Ingrid with a new design, and Sagat. Which I don't remember the name of the wrestler that was shown. I think I remember
Kenny Omega.
He's what?
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega. Okay, yeah. Cause I remember somebody mentioning his name being Kenny because they were like, I had to grow up with that, and then he changed his name to it, so he just took it on. But the guy was all in for the trailer. Like he dressed up. He's a
huge gamer. He did if you look it up on YouTube, he actually did the intro to Final Fight as well, where he played some of the characters, and it was amazing.
Okay. I'm not a wrestling guy, but I can respect that level of dedication for stuff. That's great. So the first two characters are going to be releasing this year. I might end up just getting the pass depending on how much it is. Cause like I said, I just got Street Fighter 6 years 1+2. I might as well just add them into it because they'll just pop up on my Switch too. After that, we had Mina the Hollower coming October 31st, 2025. I only had one problem with this one, but it's coming to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series XS, Switch 1, and PC. The only issue I have with this is Yacht Club Games at this point. Why do you keep making us all depend on Kickstarter to make your games? You have made so much money with Shovel Knight and everything else. Why do they keep going back and going like, well, give us more money or we're not going to make all these parts of it with Kickstarter? It's like, come on, guys.
That's pretty dirty of them.
Because this is the first I've really heard of this game, but apparently the Kickstarter's already over. They already missed out on some of the stuff, so it's like the extra level and some of the other things they didn't get enough money for, which by the way was over $1 million, and they'll still
add it in later. They'll have Mina the Hollower treasure trove.
Yeah, it's gonna be like Shovel Knight where there's like 4 releases. Like just make the game. I'm interested in it. It looks like a Game Boy Color era like adventure game. It's kind of based off like Link's Awakening and things like that, which is great. I love those games. But just make it. Like we'll buy it. You have an audience. So
I wonder if they keep doing that because like that's how they did Shovel Knight, and so now they're just like.
Well, I noticed that with this show,
people still want to keep doing that.
Well, there's a lot of games that are like, here's the unveiling trailer, back us on Kickstarter, and it's like, come on.
Like, I won't do Kickstarter for games anymore. I've been burned. I've been
Friday
burned.
13th. Friday 13th.
Oh, really?
Shenmue 3.
Fuck. Kickstarter and video games.
Shenmue 3 I ended up not doing when it was like it's only going to be on PlayStation, but I couldn't play it anything else. There was a racing game. Damn it, what was that one called? But it was on. It was supposed to come out on Wii U, and I was trying to back that one, and they got right up to the end. They kept showing stuff for it, and then they just canceled it, moved on to something else, and I'm like,
I still have 10 Kickstarters that are dead. So
yeah, so
I pledged for collector's editions, and all I got was a punch in the face.
Ugh. I will do. I've done books. Yeah, I've done like books and stuff like that. Like I'm kind of particular on which Kickstarters I do and
Books are
everything.
fine. Board games are fine. Although most board games now go to GameFound,
Oh, okay.
which is
And now they
basically
have
Kickstarter for
more
board games.
and they have more rules into place now. You can't show concepts and drawings. Like most of these, you have to have some kind of prototype already.
Yeah, because it was getting to the point like people would just slap stuff together with AI and be like, "Here's our stuff," and then they could do the Kickstarter and just say, "Oh well, we can't do anything. Bye. You agreed that you may not get anything." And just so I'm very picky about that.
It's almost as disappointing as this next announcement.
This one was just weird. So Deadpool VR coming late 2025 for Quest 2 and 3 is an exclusive. Neil Patrick Harris is Deadpool. Okay, that's actually kind of funny. I do like Neil Patrick Harris's stuff.
Nolan North
thought
for
he
life.
did. Say what?
Nolan North
for life.
I will say Neil Patrick Harris did an absolutely fantastic Nightwing in one of the Batman movies.
But in this one,
flawless. Loved it.
He's trying to do Ryan Reynolds.
I kind of thought it was him at first when I first heard the trailer. So you're not wrong, Steven, at all. I do like the developer, Twisted Pixels, making it, which they made the Maw, Explosion Man, Comic Jumper. Like they make fantastic games. It just feels weird. Like I loved the little Marvel references. You're throwing knives and punching at the hand ninjas, and you got Omega Red coming in there, and I liked the fact like during explosions, little words would show up. It was funny, but that's gonna burn out really fast. Like how long can this game really be? Because VR games don't tend to be that long. So this
Why isn't this on PSVR 2? Fuck you.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like PSVR 2 and Steam VR, it should be available on both of them.
Yeah.
There's no reason a lot of games shouldn't be on all of them because VR needs as many people as you can get. And we have one good answer for that because it is a Quest 2 and 3 exclusive. They got that meta money.
Yeah.
And just threw it around.
Yep.
Same reason, even more upsettingly, why is Batman only on Quest 3?
That's true,
right?
actually.
Why
I agree with that.
on PC or PSVR 2?
I had an issue that it wasn't on PSVR 2. I had an issue with no Nolan North, and I was just like, why'd you spend the money on Neil Patrick Harris when
hey, he's got to get paid.
As we saw in the Snooze Fest, they're whoring out Troy Baker to everything, even indie games. So if he's cheap, but Nolan North, give him a call.
Yeah.
But true. Twisted Pixel, after having an amazing run, has kind of hit like a dirt pocket because they had Gunstringer and Local Cycle. And
Gunstringer was so
a bunch
funny.
of other games that when I looked on their website, I've never heard of in my entire life. And I was just like, Twisted Pixel, what have you done?
Well, I wonder if this is like kind of like Platinum for a while. Like they just take on licenses to pay the bills. Like they just, hey,
I worked out great for Platinum. Yep. All the creators left.
True.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of companies still have to pay those bills. So they're still going to kind of take some of these licenses. And maybe they do have fun with it. It does look like there is some creativity and kind of hilarity in the game. So,
the writing and gameplay is spot on and perfect. But, but unfortunately, it has some downfalls. So, and it's like, first off, like it's exclusive to the wrong systems.
They got that fuck you Facebook money, okay? So they don't care. That's got to be it.
Yeah, because I love my Quest 2. I really do. It's a great VR headset, and it works really well with my computer when I'm going to play PC stuff. But they keep making games that require a Quest 3 or should just be on PC as well, so people can play it. Because I really want to play Batman, but I can't because I have to buy a whole freaking headset. And no offense, I know you guys love Deadpool. That is not enough to add to Batman to get me to pay for one of those things right now.
Right?
I had to buy a Switch too. We all did. We can't afford Quest 3s. Do I look like I have Quest 3 money?
No. I don't have Quest 3 money. That's for damn sure.
I'm still contemplating even having PSVR 2 money just because it's come down like almost half as much.
That shit needs to be $200 or I'm not fighting.
That's about, I think if it hits 200 by
that's
itself.
That's what I bought the first one for, and I never looked back.
250 to 275 with pack-in stuff, maybe.
Yeah,
I would consider that. But if it's just the headset,
I got the original for 200. Got Doom VR, threw that out the wall, and then I was really happy with PSVR. So,
oh god, Chase, did you ever play either? There was 2 Doom VR games. Did you ever play those on PSVR?
No, so I
They are
didn't.
both impressive and incredibly nauseating.
So I didn't have a
Kind of like
PSVR
kind of like
one.
playing No Man's Sky.
Oh,
I never had a. Yeah,
that's aimed at you, Steven.
I never had a
That's not
PSVR
the right
one.
gender.
Shinoa did, but and then, but the only reason why we have a PSVR 2, I think I've already explained this before, but
Mhm.
it's just I got it for her as a gift because she really loved her PSVR 1 and she loves VR and stuff, and like
Yeah.
she does really enjoy the medium of it. So I was like, okay, well, I got her for her birthday. I got her the PSVR 2 with the pack-in Horizon game,
Mhm.
and she absolutely loved that game.
It looked fun. I think what killed it for me is like, because I was all in on PSVR 1. I thought they had a good price point for it. Like, it wasn't the best headset, but it was the best one that people could start with, or an affordable. It was fairly well supported. They had a good collection of games for it. But then when they decided to do VR 2 and completely drop support for anything VR 1, I was like,
Unless it had an update patch.
yeah, but a lot of them didn't, which kind of sucked. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to buy this whole set to start over again.
Yeah, it's
And
just because they changed the technology in it. Like the PSVR 2 actually is pretty impressive. Like the way that you like map the room, like you look around the room to map it and everything, because it doesn't rely on the camera and stuff. Like
right.
it's pretty neat technology and stuff, and I find it quite interesting. But it's just the lack of support. This is
Yeah,
like
it's just one of those things that they were like, yeah, we can update VR games, but we're just not going to update all of them. And I'm like, well, you do have the means to update them,
yeah,
so
because
update all of them.
I'm really excited for that Behemoth game that's coming to PSVR 2. I think that looks quite fun.
Which one was that?
I can't remember the full name of it, but I think it's something Behemoth as the title.
You did say the Behemoth game, so you know.
It's looks really good.
Skydance's Behemoth. Oh, it's literally called Behemoth. Okay.
Don't worry, you got
Okay.
Thief VR coming, so you're
Well,
good.
when you said Behemoth, I was thinking of the developer. I'm like, what game are they making?
Oh no, sorry.
No, you're fine. That was my confusion on that one.
But then yeah, like there's been a few games. Actually, to be honest with you, the game that's like we've gotten the most use out of the VR headset is Demio.
Demio's great, and that's one that I've bought multiple times for VR and normal to play. I just thought about, though, looking at this Behemoth, I would love and actually would probably play if they did a what was the freaking, I don't think, blanking on the name, not Eco, but Shadow of the Colossus, but play that in VR from first person trying to climb up shit. That would be terrifying.
The people that could probably do that is the Horizon team, that because that's what you do
You
in
kind of got to do
this
that with
climbing.
you kind of got to do it a little bit with Last Guardian VR though, because you got to grab onto the tail of the beast and stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I
Oh,
forgot
that's
all about
okay. Yeah. No. So, all right. On to our next little bit here. Dying Light the Beast coming August 22nd. This looks really good, by the way. Like, just, it looks like it'd be fun. Kind of just the world looks so clean in a fact that it's not clean. It's just rendered nicely. This one's coming to PS5, Series X and S, and PC. I've enjoyed the Dying Light series. I'm
yeah.
curious to see how this
He
one kind of
needs
wraps
co-op.
it up. Oh,
Yeah, is it going to be
does need
co-op?
I think it has the option for it.
First two are, and this one, starring the voice of Chris Redfield, is. So,
Do I get to punch a boulder?
It looks like you get to punch a lot of things because he loses it and just starts beating the crap out of stuff. So I'm curious where that's going to go.
Rawr.
This next little bit was kind of a surprise. I got more excited about as I looked into, but Scott Pilgrim EX coming 2026 for PS4, 5, Series X and S, Switch 1, and PC. Notable people involved in this one. We got Brian Lee O'Malley, who is the writer and creator of Scott Pilgrim. Ben David Grabinski, who is the writer and producer of Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, the animated series that was on Netflix. Paul Robertson, who is an absolutely fantastic pixel artist who's been doing a lot of their art. And Anamata Gucci, who is a just chiptune music gurus that I really enjoy. Fun fact, the very first couple episodes of this podcast, when I started doing it well over a decade ago, I was quietly using Anamata Gucci music. which is why Spotify removed the first episode that I put up as an extra quarter a while back, because they were like, hey, you don't have the rights to this. And I went, fuck you, I'm not taking it down. They took it down themselves. But it's Spotify. I don't care. So it's going to be 4-player online and local co-op, which is great. No word on a Switch 2 version, but honestly, this is one of those games. If it comes out on Switch 1, it'll probably play fine on a Switch 2.
To be honest, like almost everything they announced, I know has just been in development. So while I was expecting, since they sponsored this Snooze Fest, to announce something, they just sponsored it.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping like maybe Prime 4's release date, guys. We would like that, something.
Like that would have been perfect timing to tell us what's coming after July for the system.
Yeah, Donkey Kong's the only thing we got. We'll talk about that in a bit.
But yeah, it was interesting to see, but I understood that a lot of these weren't announced for Switch 2 because some of them are just compatible, so they'll just get an update or something, and other ones have to be ported, like Cyberpunk and stuff. So,
and there was other, like, what was it? Capcom was doing that for a while. Like they would release collections or fighting game things where it was just on PS4 and Xbox One, and be like, hey, you can just play and be a backwards compatible on PS5 and Series X. So,
and then suddenly those got updates later.
Right. And I kind of have a feeling some developers are going to do that because they can release a proper physical Switch 1 release if it's a smaller cartridge size, and just either let it naturally run better, or at this point they could probably just code it to recognize it, because
I'm just hoping anything coming out next year eventually just has Switch 2 versions added onto it.
Yeah. It's kind of like, what was it? There was Game Boy games that had special modes on Game Boy Color, or Game Boy Color games that had special modes on Game Boy Advance. Like, let it recognize it and add the enhancements, which would save them production cost. So they don't have to make a Switch 2 cartridge. They don't have to make a key card. Give us an actual fucking cartridge and let it have some enhancements. So who knows? This one's, you're trying to stop a war between 3 rival gangs, which I thought was funny. One of them is the vegans. You should be able to beat one of them by throwing milk at them. That would be hilarious. The demons and the robots. They seem to be caused by a group that so far is just labeled as G, which is G-Man's, I guess, somehow tied to him. We don't know who this mystery group is. I love that they said there's a new Toronto to explore. Like they just made a new Toronto. That's such a Scott Pilgrim joke, I think, at that point. And there's going to be 7 playable characters. We only know about Scott and Ramona so far. Nobody else was shown. So I have a feeling we'll probably get some of the band members. There'll probably be a few returning characters. But I guess this is kind of a pseudo sequel to the books, the movie, and the animated series. Kind of a amalgamation of them. It would be absolutely hilarious if they just had like almost like Mortal Kombat, like OG Mortal Kombat version of like Scott Sarah, like, like animated as Scott running around as a secret character. That'd be so dumb, but I'd love it. Or Michael Sarah. But yeah, they could do either of those. I'd say they could do it from the animated show, but it is literally the same art style, so it wouldn't even look any different. It'd just be a little bit smoother. I think that'd be it. Less pixels. So I think we're all kind of excited for that one. Probably playing it when it comes out. I know, Steven, you are. Chase, what about you? I don't know how much of a Scott Pilgrim guy you are.
I mean, I'm not as big of a Scott Pilgrim fan as some people are probably, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's 4-player co-op, so I'd be in just to goof around with friends.
It's a really good beat 'em up system because it copies off of Every City Ransom. So
yeah, I loved that first one on 360 and was so sad it didn't come out for a while. And then when it finally released and we got a physical copy, I bought that sucker on Switch and was still playing it now. So, all right, this last game from here was kind of I like how the one of the people working on it jokingly teased beforehand, because during a commercial he was talking about like, oh, we'll announce the next game very quickly, like faster than you can blink an eye. Like it'll be here soon.
Give us a blink of an eye, and we'll have something to show. And
it was like
okay,
2 trailers later, and they popped up with it. So Resident Evil Requiem is coming February 27th, 2026. Yeah, you look like you're being way too happy with yourself when you do that. Please stop.
I'm doing it to the tyrant.
Is that what you call it? That's terrifying. We don't need to know the nickname of that.
I call it Mr. X on weekends. I don't want to give anybody,
ladies and gentlemen.
I don't want to give anybody the T virus though, or the C virus. I don't have any viruses, by the way, everybody.
This is a joke that can just keep going.
It's Mr. X on the weekends, Nemesis the rest of the week.
God, you're talking about the whole Chris
Mr.
Redfield
X on the
punching
street
rocks.
and
That makes it
Nemesis
even
in the
worse.
sheets. Yeah.
Anyways, so looks like we're going to revisit the bombed remnants of Raccoon City, because they should have the Raccoon City Police Department, what's left of it, being shown inside and out after the bombing that took place at the end of Resident Evil 3.
And the original mansion they showed too.
I saw clips, so I wasn't sure if it was the mansion, so that's cool.
It was, because it had the windows the dogs went through, and it had the little dresser on the side.
Oh, okay. I probably thought that was something else, because I know they showed the statue that's in the middle of the police station in front of the fountain.
Two was a giveaway.
Yeah, which was great. So the main character's mother apparently was a character from Resident Evil Outbreak, which is a nice throwback to that, of Alyssa Ashcroft, which that makes her so far the only officially mentioned character outside of Little Touches in 7. So she may have been the only survivor from Outbreak that we know of so far. This is going to sound crazy on this one, but there was a scene with an old guy like bleeding on the floor who yelled. I swear, I think that's Gary Oldman. It looks like it's him, and it sounded like him. And I was just like, because they had other people playing roles. Like, they've got other actors they're showing in here. So it's got a nice cast to it. And there was like a mutating cop that for a second looked like Peter Stormare. He played Satan in Constantine. He's in a bunch of the Call of Duty stuff. It's like, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like always there in the multiplayer for stuff. So I don't know. I'm excited for this one. It looks really good.
They're going back to the 6 style. Let's go.
You and I still need to play 6. I bought it. I have the I bought the Xbox One version and I have it on 360. Like, one of those we need to play.
This is if they do first person, I'm going to be so pissed.
Yeah, that's the only thing why I'm withholding judgment. I'm like, they can fuck this up really hard, really fast.
Because, you can yell at me on Discord. Join our Discord, everybody. But they fixed Resident Evil 8 because they added third person into that.
I think I wasn't mad about first person for certain stuff. I thought it was great for 7 with VR. I still think that's the best way to play that game because of the way it felt. But I agree, it shouldn't be all of it. I think they were just kept pushing in with RE4 until they're just like, all right, we're so far down the, pointing over the shoulder, we're literally in your head now, and it's just first person. It should be an option. Let people, we could do that nowadays. But I mean, I'm cool with fixed camera. Like, that's how old I am for that stuff. I love the old fixed camera Resident Evils. A little, I think for those, Resident Evil Code Veronica was a really good high point because it had fixed camera, but since it was 3D, you could have parts where the camera moved and it just added to it in a nice way.
It was just a really horrible game.
Why do you shit on everything I love?
And an even worse arcade game. The arcade game was abysmal.
Okay, at this point, I'm just waiting for be like, hey, it's my anniversary this month, and you're gonna be like, yeah, your wife's shit. Like, it just feels like that's what we're gonna go to. Yeah, your marriage would be fine if it just didn't have her.
Your wife will never be shit because your wife is not No Man's Sky. Hello, Games. Okay.
Hello, Games. He is not affiliated with us. We will take your money if you give it to us. I like No Man's Sky. It's fun. So yeah, Resident Evil Requiem will have fairly early next year because I think that's right before the 30th anniversary of it.
It will be playable this August at Gamescom, so expect a lot more details to be shared at Gamescom.
I kind of thought, like, when the trailer first started, I kind of knew it was Resident Evil just because it kind of has that art style that they use for the 3D models.
Yeah, the RE engine gives a lot away.
Yeah. It hopped into that pretty damn fast. So, but I don't know.
Talk
It's
about
looking really good. Huh?
Talk about an engine that's kept on ticking and made Capcom a lot of money. That thing's been
Remake
used,
everything with the RE engine.
abused.
Give us Resident Evil 5 and 6 now with RE engine. Let's get
Oh,
all the.
just give us
all the Dino
RE5
Crisis.
remake now. God damn it, Capcom.
Well, like the breadth of the systems that freaking engine has run on and handled has been kind of impressive. Like
it's like Havoc. Games to this day still use the Havoc engine.
Because it worked on like 3DS, the Wii U, the PS4, Xbox One, like everything from that up. Like the Switch.
Like they had MT Framework, which was okay, but then
that
RE engine just reinvented everything.
Yeah.
They've used and abused that engine. They've done everything they possibly could to it, but it's kept on ticking. It's made Capcom a hell of a lot of money.
It was a godsend to Monster Hunter. Like Monster Hunter benefited heavy from that engine because these games, I was kind of iffy at first when they did Worlds, where they changed it up a bit, but like everything after that, like Rise was fantastic.
The Worlds ended up being their best-selling game.
Like a character in Mario Kart World, they're gonna milk that cow for everything it's got.
No kidding. All right, so I don't know do we even want to give this a rating because we're just kind of like, well, there's a bunch of announcements. Like, here's the stuff we liked.
I give it a Z for Snorefest.
Fair enough, because like it sounds, if we went by this list, it would sound like this was a really good show. This is just such a small part of 3 hours of just bullshit.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I love ZZZ, but they hoard out the Hoyoverse with all those commercials for trailers for Wuthering Waves and whatever else they had. And half those games that I guessed what they were, I was right. Like, I saw an art style and I was like, that doesn't look very good, so that's probably Code Vein 2. And it was Code Vein 2! But there seems to be like the copycat stuff is getting out of control because we didn't feature a lot of games that were shown because there was way too many. There was way too many medievals, swords, real-time strategy, and they kept using buzzwords that were just sickening the whole time.
There was like a Game of Thrones strategy game that I was like, oh, come on.
And I'm like, okay, that's fine because we had a really good Lord of the Rings RTS, but it's just like, show us the game. Don't just be like, oh, Jon Snow knows nothing because now he's a Nightwalker. And it's like, shut up.
The White Walkers. Yeah, I get why they do these, but because there was like a whole other show that happened today that thankfully not much was shown in that either, so we didn't even bother mentioning it.
Apparently there was really good stuff shown at Day of the Dev, so I'm going to go back and look at that stuff.
Oh, okay. We'll get together at some point because I know tomorrow is Xbox's thing, which I'm kind of hopeful that if we don't get big announcements, maybe we'll finally get what they're releasing on Switch 2 because they kept teasing they're doing that.
If they do not show any Switch 2 stuff, I'm sending fucking, I don't even remember his name now. I'm so mad. What's the president's name?
Spencer.
I'm sending Phil Spencer a copy of No Man's Sky and telling him he has to play it to completion. And I'll be like, now you'll know torture. All right.
He gives it so much shit, but he still plays ZZZ. I don't want to hear it.
I just spent $25 on ZZZ today.
Oh man,
you're not helping your argument, man.
You're not just spending money on that game. Oh no.
Oh, I love the back and forth. But seriously, Steven, go fuck yourself. All right, so let's move on to the big question for this week. I almost did the thing for the speed run out of habit. Didn't have much of the speed run. It was just a bunch of slow news. All right, so the Switch 2 launch discussion. Our launch experiences, what games we have played, game chat functions, camera, pro controllers, mouse mode, backwards compatibility tests, and more. Chase is going to zone out for a while because he sadly could not get
You don't need me right now. I can just
wait. No, we can use you, Chase.
Chase can read Rachel's part.
Please read us what Rachel said about the system.
Yes. So she had her notes down there as well.
Okay.
What did she say? Chase, be the reporter.
Rachel has reported that the game chat is really fun, and I can see myself using this a lot while I'm gaming with friends. Welcome to our mini games can be very unforgiving.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
shit.
She's let's see, what else did she say? Plays all the Switch games I own so far.
That's
That's good.
She just wishes that there was one more big Nintendo launch title. Sad I have to wait until July for Donkey Kong.
Which, I mean, we're a month away from it. So yeah, I forgot to mention earlier, Rachel is off at a pirate themed party tonight over in Tampa, is where she's at. She also wanted to remind that when she was playing Mario Kart World, we put a note in there that she basically put my ass in place because she just kept beating me over and over again. And Steven kept beating both of us. It was crazy.
I need to ask her sometime if she finished all the 200cc cups.
God, maybe.
Because I finished all but 4. I got gold and everything except 4.
That's where somebody else takes over as better than me because 200cc is too fast.
So, Steven, I'll let you start off. You didn't get yours at midnight launch, so
I got mine at 6:12 a.m.
God damn.
I had to wake up because Walmart, as you'll see by pictures on the internet, if you order from Walmart, they gave it to you in a bag. Sometimes they're felt bags, sometimes a paper bag, and they gave you a thing of Pringles and a soda because they were like, you need your caffeine to stay up because we're delivering this at 6:12 a.m.
I found that out later after I was wondering where the hell did this can of Pringles come from in my kitchen? Because I'm just sitting there snacking on it. It's like, oh, that's where they came from.
So, everybody and their mother, especially all the influencers, are going to tell you all the obvious things. They're going to tell you about the games and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you about my experience with the Switch 2 so far and what I really like and some things that I was just like, oh no, about, but I'll get used to it.
This is totally an unbiased deep dive right now.
And this is coming from somebody who's branded by the company.
We can't really trust him because he fucking hates No Man's Sky.
Anyway, but putting it together, it is going to have, for some people, it is going to have some shortcomings of the Switch where it comes to how it does the audio and if your TV can support 120 hertz. So make sure that you're looking into that both on Reddit threads and just there's a community out there that is very helpful. So it's just look into all of that, and especially now that they've kind of met as close as parity as they want to with the big systems. Know that you'll have to change some settings on your TV because you're used to having Switch 1 trying to look the best it can, but now Switch 2 can look amazing.
Right.
So other than that, I actually didn't play games when I first set it up because I wanted to see how things ran. It was pretty easy to set up. I like how it did the transfer. It was weird that you actually have to put the old SD card that it doesn't support in the Switch 2 so it can just pull off all the data like your photos and videos, and then it shoves it on the micro SD Express.
Right.
Make sure you're buying Express out there, folks. But boy, does that make things faster. You can't even say the word eShop without the eShop already launching. All the profiles still work, so you can still have a Japanese eShop and a UK eShop with all the playable imports, so you can still do that.
I'm gonna kind of miss that little now it's all red, the little loading screen where the blocks are going back and forth. Like that's just gone.
There's a dark theme, but they added that into Switch 1, which is nice. It's easier on the eyes now.
Yeah, it matches whatever your theme is set to now, which is good.
The eShop, you can tell now when they talked about how they had all this extra RAM, and a lot of it was dedicated to the system, and people wondered why. Once you load the eShop, you will see why. Every single game, if it has a trailer, will show that like Netflix style automatically when you hover over the game. You can go into it like you used to and see the trailer and all the screenshots. And if you scroll down, you can now look at other games by that publisher. You used to just do it on the top. You have to scroll down now. So it's not gone, everybody.
It's just moved.
But yeah, every single game that has a trailer will show you the trailer right then and there, full video and audio. It has a really nice thing where it's now reading your algorithm to give you up to 8 to 10 recommendations every Saturday of what games you should play, and it'll show you a trailer of them. It'll tell you if it's on sale. And speaking of sale, anything you have on your wish list, as soon as you log into the eShop, it'll say how many of the games on your wish list are on sale right now. So you can go in and look. It'll say, hey, out of your 96 you have wish listed, I know, 41 of them are on sale. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. It is still, it is easy to still search for things when you want demos. Because now you can filter it by Switch 2 demos only, which only Street Fighter has a demo.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
But you can also just put it as just regular game demos. However, what you can also do now, which reminds me of Wii U, which is nice as well, is it'll actually have sections for games that are only local co-op, only online, only game share, only game chat. All these different supported styles now have their own sections. The games in there are organized. They'll have a banner if it's switched to first and foremost. At least now it's easier to scroll through all the recycled assets and the garbage and the all the AI stuff. So it's still in there. When you go to your wish list, though, you can see what games now. When you go to the information of all of them, it kind of does a Steam Deck type of thing where it'll tell you what kind of issue it has. It'll tell you if it has issues starting up. It'll tell you if it has issues during gameplay. And then some games that just haven't been updated yet, it'll just say not available for purchase, because it'll just say you can't purchase this on the Switch 2, and it'll have like a red thing when you go down to compatibility that says that right now this does not work on Switch 2, which is understandable.
Do they let you, like, if you're buying one, you have a Switch 1 on your account? Because I remember I could buy a Switch 2 game from my Switch 1, but it made me click a box saying, you understand it doesn't work on this. You're buying it for your account. And I went, yes. And it let me buy it. And I was like, all right, cool.
I think online it does that a lot, because people were even downloading Mario Kart early.
Yeah.
But I know, like, even though, like, when you go to the certain parts, it shows game vouchers, but it makes sure to tell you, hey, if you buy these game vouchers, they only work on Switch 1 games. However, if the game has an update for Switch 2, you can use vouchers to buy the Switch 1 version and then get it on Switch 2, obviously, with the upgrade. People have found out that if you're buying a Switch 2 edition of a game, it actually works on a Switch 1 system. So if that's the only one you can find, think of it as a reprint of sorts.
Yeah.
With just the added bonus of, hey, when you do get the new system, you're already going to have the update. So having that physical is really nice. Other than that, I did plug in the camera. I got better quality when I played Mario Kart, and then game chat was really easy. I could see what people are doing. I could get an invite. Invite felt like I was back in the 360 days, which is a good thing. And just like Welcome Tour, has you even do a chat with yourself, and it tells you, please turn on a hairdryer or a vacuum cleaner because we want to show how it filters out sound. It is using that NVIDIA technology to basically filter it out, because I didn't hear anything that was going on in Jeremy or Rachel's rooms or anything like that. No like static that you usually hear if something's really loud.
When I played with you, I was on a headset through my Pro controller.
And like I was, my thing is all the way over there,
right,
at least 5 feet away from me, but I was still crystal clear talking to you guys, and so were you guys coming back at me. The game chat sharing screen does run a little bit better, people, so don't get too mad when it's like, oh, it's 10 frames per second. It does run better. It's still taxing the system, but you can kind of change the configuration.
Well, the biggest thing is, part of why it's variable for that frame rate is it will slow down rather than slow your game down. Its priority is always to keep your game good.
It always keeps your game locked, which is very impressive.
Yeah.
So I did like that as well.
That anyways.
I have been going through all the settings, because that's where you can see, you can turn off the 120 hertz if you don't have that kind of TV that supports it, so you don't have to worry. You can play with the HDR and say, I want it to force it into all games or just supported games, kind of like the other systems do. So there is some similarities there.
Yeah.
I am having some audio issues, only because that's one of the shortcomings where it needs ARC support. So if you have an HDMI ARC, you're good. You're good to go in terms of their surround sound. Because if you're dealing with receivers, just know that you'll have like an uphill climb if your receiver is as old as mine, which is from 2017 and does not support ARC. People have had both on Reddit, they've had success with their sound bars. They just had to change a few things and everything worked perfectly, so that was good.
Yeah, that's how mine's set up.
But yeah, everything worked fine. What I did like, some people didn't, is when you did the transfer, it just transfers all the licenses, and it doesn't necessarily download all your games. It just puts all the licenses over on there, and then you have them. But now, just like you did on the original Switch, when you deleted the game but kept the icon, you can download it again whenever you want. So you're not automatically going to take your 512 gigs or whatever memory card you got for Switch 1 and fill up your system right away. It's going to fill up a very minimal amount, unless you're doing Switch 2 games, obviously. And then you can choose, hey, I want to have these on there. My favorite thing they added, which is my final point, is thank you, Nintendo, for adding auto update, because I always forget with the countless amount of games I have which games got updates. So now they just auto update, and I could turn that on.
They
It's a
had auto
beautiful
update
thing.
on Switch 1. It just didn't always seem to work.
Yeah,
I
it
had
didn't
that.
really
I had
work at
that
all.
turned on.
This time it did, and it was already set to on, so it was downloading updates for games I wanted to. And yes, you can still wake it up from sleep with the home controller, and it makes a nice little jingle.
Yeah.
So that's nice too. So far I'm very happy with it, and eventually Chase needs to get one. Okay.
All right. I guess I'll go through mine. I intended for us to go through different parts and have discussions on each one, so that kind of
Yeah,
changed it all. Well, you just covered all of it, so I'm just have to kind of add in mine. Yeah, GameChat worked well. I've used it both with the microphone on the system itself as well as the headset on the Pro controller. Which I found out I had to do a different update when you plug a headset into your Pro controller, because it was like, hey, to do the audio out, we got to update. It's like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
Do update your controllers. They didn't really tell you that, but it'll update. You can update all your controllers as soon as you get the system.
It treated it as a different update, because I updated every controller I had, but as soon as I plugged in the headset, it said it had to update again, which was interesting.
And when you do settings, look at Bluetooth, because it does have certain rules of how much can connect to it.
I haven't tried wireless headsets yet. I'm just using plugged in like I normally do for gaming. The camera works really well. I have the actual Nintendo one. I'm going to test it with this camera here. I don't see why it shouldn't work, because there's actually a testing function in the settings where you can plug in a camera and test it out before you even try it, and it'll tell you how it's going to operate. Can it get enough information to do what it needs to do? I like the fact that they have that in there. I know there were a lot of complaints about the interface being pretty close to the same as the Switch. There are differences. Like, it's definitely visually more colorful and things like that. Things are more rounded out and so forth.
Smooth.
It's familiar, but it's also no different to me of how when I got the Series X, it literally looked at my Xbox One when I did the transfer and went, hey, do you want to keep your interface? I said, yes. And it literally copied it over. Same color scheme, same layout. So I was like, okay, I just moved over to this one, and that's fine. It's, people are wanting it to change more like what happened with the PS5. And a lot of people, myself included, did not like some of the changes they made. Like, I wanted the PS4 interface because it just, hold the button down, you could put it to sleep and so forth. Like, all that went away. So change isn't always good on that point. And on the flip side, when they were arguing it, like, you buy a new iPhone, it's the same general interface. It's little tweaks, but it's still the same iPhone interface. It's still usually the same Android interface. That's kind of a standard thing. People are just nitpicking about it as a point to argue. I still don't understand why there's only two themes. You couldn't add colors? Like, really? Just black and white. That's it. I'm hoping they'll eventually change that. I mean, it cannot be that hard to add color, guys. Come on. Though we waited 8 years and they didn't do it. So
at least now it starts with folders, so we're good.
That's true. And it carried over all of my existing folders. I didn't have to remake any of them. They were there. which is great. Saved me so much trouble.
Fun fact, I don't know if it happened with you because I had multiple profiles, but as soon as I downloaded GameCube Classics, it gave me both the American and European versions of all the games.
I had to show Rachel how to turn that off. It does it for everybody initially. So you can go into the settings and turn that off on there. But yeah, I was glad that the interface stuff moved over. The new options are really good for kind of a lot of that. Game chat works way better than I thought it would. Like I knew we'd have some chat, but I like the fact that I can send you invites and make groups. I had a little bit of trouble where I couldn't add people to it. So Rachel and I were in one talking, and then we were going to add you to it, and I had to actually cancel it out and make a new one, sending it to all of us again.
It was trying to be safe because originally there was somebody in there that wasn't my friend. Remember, everybody in game chat has to be your friend, so it wouldn't allow me in until I was friends with her.
Well, I'm just worried because a lot of my friends aren't friends with others, but if we make a group chat and we want to talk, I don't. If you're both on my friends list, I should be able to send you send you a request for that. Otherwise, it kind of messes with it, you know.
Because that's how I think they're making it safe. Is like if you're not friends all around, you can't.
Yeah,
I hope they change that.
That's Nintendo being kind of overprotective, probably a little bit.
I agree, kind of overprotective, because if I am friends with both of you, the whole point of having that chat doesn't guarantee you two are going to be friends with each other. You may not have met yet. That might be how I'm introducing you, or getting the group together.
Be an interesting test, but that's how I found it, because it basically said like you can't go in there. Do you want to send her a friend request? And I'm like, yeah.
I did find out, and this was kind of cool, that the app, I don't know if you've updated it yet, is so much better now. It actually gives me notifications out loud when people are trying to send me chat requests.
Yep.
Because I was sitting there and I kept hearing a noise going, what the hell is that? And I realized my friend was trying to get me to talk to him on game chat, and it was coming through my phone.
If you want, whenever you take a screenshot, you can actually just have it.
Already got
Xbox does. It'll automatically put it on the app, and then you can just share it wherever you want. You don't have to connect your poor system to any bad social media. So,
yeah, I kind of get why Nintendo is doing that. It's not because they're trying to control everything. They're trying to avoid what happened between, Twitter and all that stuff. They're like, we want no part of this. We will have our stuff, and that'll be it. So, all right, the other stuff, the Pro Controller. I am spoiled. If you ever get a chance to mess with one of these and actually feel the stick, you're going to feel like all the other ones are just dirty. They're going to feel so rough and so wrong once you're actually using the sticks on these things. It is incredibly comfortable. I like the new material they used with it. The back buttons are in a really good spot, and I'm so happy because I've had other controllers that had those, but on Switch, it was limited to like this one on the right could only be a button on that side, and the one on the left
can be even a analog stick press.
Well, for most games, yeah, I'm about to say most games it's going to be that, because I hate doing that. I know for like Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I love the fact that you can quickly set them and they are per game and it remembers. So Xenoblade Chronicles X, these two buttons are going to be the D-pad left and right, so I can cycle through stuff without having to remove my hands from the sticks, which is just, that's great. So
That's
happy.
Good.
I did get the charge grip when I ordered that along with an extra set of Joy-Cons. That works really well. It also has those back buttons. It can be programmed. Like you mentioned before, you can plug in the USB cable and be able to run it as a cabled controller, which is good for fighting games and so forth. Yeah, it's supposed to actually stand up now, which is great. Yeah. I left it in there.
It's got little bumps so you can stand up and save space, according to Welcome Tour.
Yep. So I have the GameCube controller, which finally came in. USB-C charger at the top, and it
does work with Smash.
And it has gyro in it too, which is great. So you can actually use motion for this. So I may end up using this more than I originally thought I would, because this is a great controller. I have played some of the GameCube games. Have you messed around with them at all?
Yeah, and I have found that out if you do not remap the controls, F-Zero GX is unplayable until you remap your buttons.
Really, I haven't played.
Everything
I
is
haven't played
not where it
F-Zero
should
yet.
be when you want to race.
Thankfully, remapping is fairly easy now. I've only played Soul Calibur. That was the one I went in for a test.
Yeah, I did the same, and I was like, I can't play disconnected, and they need to
I
be
didn't
together.
remap it, and the controls felt weird. It's like we got to figure out a standard. I'm gonna give it a shot with this later. Now that I can actually play it.
Again, the different profiles work. So I did go in, and because I memorized where everything was in the eShop, and I was just like, okay. So I went in the Japanese eShop and downloaded the GameCube classics because I know they're going to give us something that that US won't have, and I'm gonna be like, I want to play it.
I'm gonna wait to get that until they do get something because that's like 5 gigs. It's pretty good size space. Have you messed with mouse mode much outside of Nintendo the Welcome Tour?
Mostly on Welcome Tour and on the home screen, and just it's nice now that with the original Switch, the extra wrist strap was just kind of a extension that made it easier to use the buttons. But now the additions they have for like the bumpers for the mice now work a lot better. They're more essential. Like I always want to make sure I have them nearby.
I'm gonna cut that damn string off of one of them. I'm gonna cut the damn string off of one of them. I have 2 sets, and they're great for putting on and using for like motion. They drive me nuts as a mouse because they keep catching on. Because I play on a table, and I'll go to move forward with the mouse, and they catch on the edge, and it's thrown me off and messed me up on mini games a few times now. And I have to keep putting my hand further in. And I'm like, I'm just gonna, because I have 2 sets of them now, because I got an extra set of Joy-Cons. I'm just gonna cut the damn string off the right one on at least one of them.
See if at least it comes off. I know they sewed
it doesn't
bit of it together, but
I'm gonna have to cut it.
Ouch.
Which is fine. I have 2 sets of them now. I don't need that many.
If I'm doing motion, I'm going to play on my lap until I can't.
I needed the precision, and I'm used to doing that because a mouse, normally my hand, it's been okay, but my hand is actually broken and twists a little funny. So on a mouse, it actually fits pretty comfortably. On this one, I have to twist a little bit more. So it did get uncomfortable after a little while, but I was still able to play, and I'm still shocked at how well it works, especially being able to just like actually angle it with the motion or twist it. That was a lot of fun.
So we're going to include Chase on this question.
Okay.
So we already learned that not only does it have the little mouse camera, but it also has a little light to help you be precise. But how long, or do you even think it's going to be this year, Chase, that an accessory maker is going to make a shell for you to put the Joy-Con in to make it almost like a full-sized mouse?
Oh, they already have. GameStop has them. They've already produced them. We didn't have them for sale at our store, but they have made them, which is great. But sorry, go ahead, Chase.
No, I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna happen. It'll be because especially with like games like Civ 7, because there's some people that are buying like Civ 7 on Switch 2, and that's how a lot of people are gonna want to play certain things.
I really hope that third parties that can benefit from the mouse work on an update for that, because
I don't know if you guys really want to play this, but there they are.
I really want to play House of the Dead 1 remake, and then House of the Dead 2 remakes coming also for Switch, and I would really love to play that with the mouse mode.
I think that would be its saving grace, because I absolutely hate that game when it was done on Switch. I had such high hopes.
On Switch, and it only worked best with PC because you could put light guns together with that. And maybe PS5 because of the Move, but I was like, please guys, there's all these great light gun games, and all you have to do is do an update. I know from following a few indie developers that right now it's hard to get a Switch 2 dev kit to some indies. That's why you're not really seeing any indie games coming out for Switch 2, which is understandable. I hope throughout the year, especially with tariffs and all that stuff ruining how things go around, that even though they have plenty of systems out there, that they eventually can get some dev kits out there. Because the rumor is right now that they already sold over 3 million units, which would be the largest in video game history. So it'd be nice.
There's still I still see people that have taken pictures from like Targets and stuff before the sales started, and they're circulating the pictures going like, oh, they're still here. This is a Wii U situation. Nintendo's doomed. I'm like, our stores are completely sold out. You can't get one here if you want one.
My
Like,
new
people
thing,
that wait too long to pick up their pre-orders are gonna have to wait because they ended up selling them after like so many days. They're like, all right, sorry, you waited.
my new thing to do though is I am going to upgrade all the first party games,
Yeah,
but because they mentioned that cards will be in store, I want to have that physicality. So I did see both the ones I already get for free. I did see the 2 Zelda updates on cards
I'm
at
picking
Target.
them up next week. Yeah,
But I want all the other ones. Like I want to. I'm waiting to see when they either stock or restock, whichever comes first, so I can get it for Kirby. I know they're going to do it for Mario Party.
I'm gonna say
where I
Kirby's not
can
out
just get the
yet. Mario
upgrade.
Party's not out yet.
Yeah, so I think those are going to be cards, and I can't wait to get those because I would like to just have those and just to remind me because I'll have the original box art.
Mm-hmm.
Because while the cases are cool, when you have all that jargon for the Switch 2 edition, it kind of loses some of the artwork. So I will be buying Metroid Prime 4 on Switch 1, but then I'll be buying the card for the upgrade just so I have a little bonus. And if it's small enough, I'll put it in the case. It'll be cool.
Because like
just to
one
have it
thing I
like
do
that.
like here's a Switch 1 and a Switch 2. This is a key card, so it's got this on the bottom and stuff like that. But what I do like about this, even with those cases, is the actual view on the shelf. Instead of just 3 red ones, I have different colors and different
Yeah.
designs, which I'm so happy they're doing that. And yes, it does say 2, people. You're not going to get super confused. It has a 2. You can
So
count.
does Cyberpunk? Does the cartridge taste like Keanu Reeves?
Haven't tried yet.
Okay.
Neither the cartridge nor Keanu Reeves. He is evasive. Um,
You can find him in a subway.
try and lick that guy, and he just runs.
Yeah, there's probably a legal issue with trying to taste Keanu Reeves. So
I don't know. He seems friendly enough with people. Be like, "Can I just lick your hand?" All right.
you don't taste like Cyberpunk. Get out.
Oh man.
But
So I want to touch into backwards compatibility.
Yeah.
A little bit on that. And that's part of why I had these games here because so a lot of talk is going around about the Switch 2 editions. You know, like we talked about Zelda, Kirby's getting updates, stuff like that. And other games, which I know you hate No Man's Sky. I get it. But that was like a Herculean update that they gave for free with the updates for that one, for what it can do now. But I've been going through testing a lot of games just naturally running on the Switch 2. And I'm curious about some of the ones you've messed with as well to see how they run. And I grabbed 3 of my more impressive updates. So the first one I want to talk about is Lego Worlds, which was an interesting game I got back when the Switch came out, but it ran terribly. I looked at my game save and it was dated back to 2017. That's how long it's been since I played the damn thing. Put it in the Switch 2, and it actually loads up and runs really well. Like just naturally running, which shocked the hell out of me. Next one I wanted to try was Zombie Army Trilogy, which wasn't bad. These guys have done a great job porting to the Switch, but it was running way better. Like I was able to snipe a good distance and kind of messing with it without frame drops and stuff. And then lastly, I was messing with Nier Automata. This runs basically fixed frame rate now. Like just everywhere we're running around. This is Junior's one of his favorite games. So he was loading up game saves and going to particular places he knew it would tank on purpose, like where things would get down into like single, maybe double digits sometimes. Never slowed down. Did not have a problem with it whatsoever. So he actually thinks this is now the best way to play this game because this has all the content already included. You can play it on the go and it looks better now. So as I dig through Switch games, I've been so happy to see these improvements on a lot of titles. Have there been any that you have messed with that have kind of surprised you or looked forward to?
So some I've heard, some I've tried. Some have issues, unfortunately. But with 15,000 titles, I'm at a kid, especially somebody like me who, as of today, I've hit 806 Switch games.
Fudge, I have 400 something. Jesus Christ.
I have a toy chest to play with, so to speak.
You have a war chest. You ain't got a fucking. You have a.
He's
There's
got
no
a war
toy chest.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Who was your dad? Like, who?
I'll go through what I've heard first, and then I'll go through what I've tested. So what I've heard and seen is that No Man's Sky went through a tremendous free update, so it's still boring, but now it's boring in
But it's
HD.
boring with a great frame rate and 4K textures.
But for people thinking, oh, it's just going to include the frame rate. Yes and no. In some games, it's actually adding in like more textures, more characters, more enemies that are supposed to be there, more atmosphere. For Animal Crossing, you'll be happy to know that it is a full minute faster to boot up.
I
And
noticed.
when you now go to dream worlds that are like 100% filled with things because people love doing that, you can run through and nothing lags at all. You can run through the whole thing like you were running through an empty island. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Nice.
On the slightly negative side, people are saying Smash Brothers is too fast and has some issues. Too fast is it actually skips the versus screen because it only appears for a second and then you're ready to fight. So please add some loading times in there or a confirm button, Nintendo, please. Because Bandai Namco, you worked on that. We saw that. Other than that, what else was there? The Marvel fighting collections work, but they're having some issues with textures. So hopefully those get patched because everybody wants their games to work on Switch too. Bayonetta 3 is now locked at 60. That's a beautiful thing. So now you can play it exactly how you wanted to. It's just nice to see all these games just now running so much better and just natively because of the system and not without any kind of weird patches. I think for the most part are adding a lot more than just frame rate.
Yeah, I know. Like
sometimes they're compatibility just to fix issues or glitches, but in other things we're seeing that they're just adding more to it and just making it so. I've got my work cut out for me of things that I'm trying to think now. Didn't run well for me that I want to play because people loved how Batman is running now, although it has some issues too.
I need to go back and double check because I played it for a while, but I tested out Tunic. It still looks a little blurry. I think that's just naturally the way the game is, but it runs a lot smoother to me, which is really nice because that was a gorgeous game and it was fun to play, but it felt a little chuggy on occasion. But I was just running around the map doing stuff, and it was great, no problems at all. So I want to kind of verify that one with my Switch 1 to see am I remembering it right or
So yeah, like this has a unique opportunity that wasn't seen with PS5 and Series X, where instead of seeing like does it run, you're seeing how well does it run instead because of this native upgrade that a lot of these games are getting, where it's running much better. People are saying that ARMS now is a game changer with its update. It's so good.
because that one got an actual patch. It's
even lesser known imports like the Fuga Melodies of Steel trilogy. People are saying 3 feels like a whole new game because now it runs so much better. So it's I'm guessing all these publishers are pleased as punch that all these games are going to get new lives because people are just like, what, it runs like this on Switch too? I need to get it now because a lot of these games, like it or not, were only on Switch at the time or something like that because they were niche titles and stuff. So to see everything get a boost, even indie titles, is great to see.
I want to go back and try some of I know Assassin's Creed. I want to try some of those because they were kind of rough. I want to see if it smooths that out as well. I keep looking through my list going like, what do I want to try next?
Yeah, it's kind of like that where you're kind of like, was there a game that I wish ran better? Because probably now it does. And that's kind of the fun now of putting it all through the tests. But for me, still, the number one thing I love is the eShop is a wonder to scroll through now. And so is scrolling through my 504 game licenses that are on my system because I can still scroll through them and find them really quickly.
Yeah, I need. I'm looking through this like Catherine. I wanted to try out and see if that runs any better. Oh, one that ran kind of rough that I tried out last night as well was City Skylines XL Edition. pulled up a whole city and was going through it. I'm just flying through the city, running around, zooming in, zooming out, messing with stuff. Nothing slowed down. It just smoothly went through it. It looked a lot better. And I think the biggest part of it is some games, and Digital Foundry covered part of this as well. Like they would have options for like unlocked frame rates, or they would try and get to a cap or a certain amount and it would have struggles. So a lot of those games are kind of actually hitting it and staying there now. They'll go beyond it with updates, but they can't do that without being updated. Well, that's what's happening with like the Batman Arkham game. Because they're just hitting the 30 cap and just, all right, we're there, we're good.
Yeah, No Man's By hits it lock 30 for just about everything except for when it does transitions, which people are like, that's probably not something that you're going to notice. Like when you go into space for the first time and it dips really quick.
I think it has a 60 FPS mode as
other
well.
than that, it stays at 30 and doesn't falter. So it's nice.
Crisis Core, I tried that out and it looked a lot cleaner. It already ran fairly well on the Switch. I'm going to try some more fights and see if it chugs a little bit more, but it was playing without a problem. I'm going to try Daemon X Machina later to see how that works. I'm curious about Dark Souls Remastered. That's one that can chug on occasion. So yeah, there's a lot of things on Switch I think are going to get a second life from this. Oh, Dead Cells. That's another one I want to try out because I love it. It runs great on Switch, but it does slow down on occasion, just trying to keep up with everything going on in those transitions. So I'm hoping that gets wiped away because I've been holding off buying it for my Steam Deck. Because like I have it on the Switch. I put so much time into it. If it would just run a little bit better, it'd be fine. So who knows?
So another thing I found out, which is kind of a funny coincidence, is people are calling it the Monolith Soft tax. Is any game that Monolith Soft helped develop gets an extra $10 added to it because they worked on the Zelda titles and they actually worked on Mario Kart World, which was interesting to find out. So everybody's like, it's the Monolith Soft tax. So if the game is now $80 or $70, you can pretty much know like, oh hey, Monolith Soft probably had something to do with it.
I'm actually more okay with that than the old joke about the Square tax, because the Square tax was this: they charge more for the cartridges, and they would just do that regardless of quality.
Well, the Square tax is you either get a code in the box or a
and you still get charged extra.
You get a key card for 11 gigs.
Oh God. So yeah, I'm gonna get some of the Switch 2 edition games as well. I saw the boxes for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I just couldn't afford to get them at the time. If they're still there, I'm gonna try and get some of them next week. Because I'm like you, I want to have those in my collection as a more complete version of it. I already know when Prime 4 comes out, I'm getting both the Switch and the Switch 2 edition. I don't care if it can play in both. I have all the Metroids. I have to get them.
Yeah.
So backwards compatibility, I think this is the closest that they've done, like with almost like how Microsoft does it for Xbox, because there's a lot of their games you put in that just inherently can have enhancements that did not normally. And I think some PlayStation games did that as well, but they were not quite as prevalent on it. But it's nice to see Nintendo kind of catching up with that, because they could have very easily just had it run exactly as it did before, which is what they've done for a lot of stuff.
I think.
Oh, go ahead.
I think once they said that there was no Switch 1 parts in this, like their previous systems, I think that's when I knew like what we wanted was happening. Is that every game you put in there, because they even got like compatibility updates for like Super Mario All-Stars, so now that runs even better than it did. So it's like, okay.
Yeah, I need to try Endless Ocean on there as well. I know it's not the greatest game, but maybe it'll run a little better and still be bad.
It's gotta be better than No Man's Sky.
No.
No.
Anyways, so I want to talk about the Switch 2 itself. You know, got mine here, this absolute behemoth of the thing. My first impressions actually physically getting a hold of this are a lot better than I was worried about. I know we had talked about the stand. We were worried about it being kind of flimsy and breaking. I did not realize until messing with it and, of course, doing the welcome tour, this damn thing is a metal. Like, it's a type of aluminum. If I break this, I've done something terrible because it is sturdy.
By the way, Chase, there's a mini game for the stand.
I got a 0 degree on that. Like I've nailed it perfectly one time.
Like it'll tell you, like in the first level of it, before it gets harder, it tells you an angle and shows you it, and then you can try to match it. But I was just like, wow, even the stand has a mini game.
Yeah, because I love how you set it up and it determines its angle with the controllers, and then as you change the angle on it, you have to guess what the angle is and see if you can get it, which is kind of fun. So the mechanism for removing the Joy-Cons, I was worried this was going to be in the way while playing, and I have not hit it whatsoever, which has been nice.
It's now the best fidget toy on the Switch too.
Yeah. I love the little click. Just such a satisfying little.
Oh wait, no, you got to show them the best part. You can put them on however you want, even though it won't work the same way.
Oh, it can still work. That's the beauty of it. So,
like, even though it's not like I mean work as in like good luck trying to play that way unless you want to play like Blind Mario.
I want a game like this. I want one on purpose. The screen facing out, the controls facing in. Because imagine sitting with a partner or a friend. They can see the screen, but you have to control it, and you're having to tell each other what to do.
You know for a fact WarioWare, the next WarioWare is doing that.
I hope so. But I mean, could you imagine? Like, there was a game we had on VR called "Don't Stop Talking or Everyone Explodes," where one person.
I have that on every system except for Xbox.
Yeah, it's great, but like, so one person can see the bomb. And this did come out on Switch because you could play it on the Switch and see it.
Yeah.
And everybody else couldn't if they didn't look over your shoulder or something. They would have to tell you what to do. So you describe the bomb, and then they tell you what to do to try and defuse it. You could do almost something like that where they could see the screen and they're telling you, what combinations to hit or what you've got to move around or, to try and guide things. Could be an interesting little take. It'd be more of a mini game than an actual game, which is fine, but it's got potential to do it.
I will give a PSA though: don't peel off the foreskin of your.
Yeah, I don't even see that, so I don't know where the hell they thought they would notice that and take it off.
However, shout out to them because I've used them for every screen console generation. But Amfilm is the best screen protector you'll ever put on there in your entire life. Because of many facts where it doesn't just tell you, oh, put it on and wish for the best. The new ones that they give you not only give you instructions like, do it in a bathroom where there's the least likely effect of flying dust particles. It gives you all like the wet wipes and screen wipes to make sure that there's no dust on it. But the best thing about it is they give you this plastic like
an outside
ring, almost like almost like what you'd put on your phone, like that would snap on. But this one snaps on perfectly on the Switch 2 without the Joy-Cons on it. And then as you peel it off, the screen protector just sits in there really nice, and then you just smooth it out a little bit, and you now have a tempered glass screen protector that's on there for life. It saved me on the original Switch because the original Switch. My wife, bless her heart, did drop my original Switch once, and it hit the leg of a tray, but the tempered glass got cracked down the middle, not the screen. So I was like, awesome. Just peeled it right off, put a new one on, and I said, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, it did its job.
So, yeah, Amfilm, like, especially with their sale that they had for $5 that you can get a 2-pack, so you can try again if you get that one little dust part that made itself in off of your hands or something, and you're just mad at yourself because it's not 100% perfect. They're the best screen protectors I've ever used because originally the ones for the Switch 1 would start to peel if you didn't get the right company. But these ones have been used on so many things of mine that I couldn't see it going anywhere else, and it looks beautiful on there. And I made sure not to play any of those touch mini games until I got that on there because I was just like, I'm going to be pressing like crazy.
Yeah. So continuing with the physical side of it, there's a couple things I really like, and there's a couple things that I've kind of noticed as a bit of an issue, not like game breaking, but just kind of annoying. First of all is the shoulder buttons. They go all the way down here on the side. And the way my hands are, I have hit that on accident while playing games, just holding it because I can hit it here and start triggering stuff, which is a little different. They made it longer so people with smaller hands could use it, or if you use it as a mouse, it's
Yeah,
kind of
they
like
put
that.
2 springs in it.
Yeah, so I'm just going to have to readjust and figure that out. The other thing I've had a problem with is holding this. I have activated mouse mode on accident just holding the controller because my finger goes over it and it thinks I put it down. Not every game does that. A lot of them look for the controller to be in the right shape, but I sometimes play where I'll put my hand down and I'm just kind of relaxing and playing, and I gripped it and it switched to mouse mode and threw me off.
I have found that using those extra brackets though help detract from that.
Well, I put them on there and it keeps this part perfectly level. It doesn't cover that at all or anything. So it just adds a little bit of a bump on the top and bottom. So it didn't really affect it at all for stopping that because my finger was still in the same place. So I don't know if there's just a way to get it not to activate each time. And it doesn't happen all the time. I just noticed a few times messing with Welcome Tour, where all of a sudden I would be on a menu or something, or I'd be on the home screen and it would move to being a cursor because it thought I had turned the mouse on.
Okay.
So once again, probably just have to get used to it just for adjusting where I hold it. For docking it, I did notice, and I don't know if you've noticed this as well, it's very small amount of time, but it does take longer to go to the TV, which makes sense because it's got to take what it's got, scale it, and go out. So there's going to be that window while it sets up.
Yeah,
Someone will complain, but it's not.
It
a
also
big deal.
gets angry about HDR when you dock it and undock it.
I could see that. Yeah,
like it'll say you need to adjust it. Do you want to adjust it now? Because if you've never adjusted HDR, it'll say, "Do you want to adjust it so it's set from now on?" Because it got confused, and sometimes it'd be like, "Oh, HDR is not on for your Mario Kart unless you like restart it and stuff like that."
True. I wonder how that's going to be like if I get another dock and I put one of in my room, because we had docks throughout the house, but the TV in my room is not an HDR or 4K TV. It's a nice 1080p TV, which, you know, playing with the Switch didn't matter. I'm kind of curious with the Switch 2 if I'm moving between a 4K 120 hertz HDR enabled screen in here and a 1080p, you know, regular TV, and I keep moving back and forth, what's it going to do? Probably not be that big a deal. It should already kind of adjust for it.
My friend pointed out, and even Welcome Tour pointed out. I'm going to say Welcome Tour like it's vernacular.
It's educational. Now. It really is.
But my friend pointed out when he opened his, he's like, the speakers don't face you anymore. They face down.
Which I was kind of shocked by, because when I first turned it on, I was like, oh, damn, it's facing me. It's like directed audio. This is great. And it said it was facing down, but they changed how it sounded. And I was like, they have fucked with me. Okay. Like I straight up
I'm glad they fixed the issue where the vibration isn't so crazy that it just sounds like it's growling at you like it did on Switch 1.
Yeah, I noticed that as well.
I am very interested in the notification section on the system because it says you can have alarms set for games, and it'll make the Joy-Cons do things. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Because what? I didn't know that.
If you go to notifications, it'll say, "Hey, we'll make the Joy-Cons beep when it does when it has this or that type of notification." And I was just like, "What? I need to know what those are." So that's probably something they're saving for later to freak you out.
Yeah, sad. Like I don't have a right Joy-Con with me for the original Switch, but on the new one, if you can see the home button, they got rid of the light, which they almost never use, but it's no longer here. So it's just a solid button instead of having that little ring light that I think I only ever saw turn on once.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But yeah, now there's apparently notifications and alarms that you can set and then delete for games. But I haven't seen any it utilized yet. But that was interesting to see in the settings. I went crazy in the settings.
One other thing they did, let me turn this on here and get to it. Oh, I'm playing in the middle of Cyberpunk here. Yeah, I know. I do like the fact that they added... for finding the controllers, like for searching, you know, before you could hit it and it would vibrate. You might, I don't know if you can hear that in the mic.
Yeah, I can.
But if you hold it, it has an audible beep now. which that's kind of cool. So now if your kid loses it,
Yeah, part of me is wondering that if it's like if you just leave the Joy-Con somewhere, if it's gonna beep if it's low on battery or something. Because that might be one of the alarms you can set. I don't know.
oh, I hadn't thought about that. See, like there's a lot of things we're still learning about this, which
Is nice.
yeah, which is kind of neat how a lot of this stuff works. So I don't know. I guess to kind of finish this off, we'll kind of give our general thoughts on the Switch 2. I'll let you go off on that and just kind of your favorite thing, your least favorite thing, your initial feeling of it, and how do you think you're going to like it? How about that? So go for it.
So I'll actually give it a grade out of 100 first.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it a 90 because there's a lot of unknowns and there's still some shortcomings that please fix with a patch to the system because the system's updating every day.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, and I will say this till I die, is how the eShop runs. Because that was my biggest problem looking for games, was waiting for like a whole screen to load a bunch of just thumbnails. And I was like, you're just loading thumbnails. But now the Switch 2 is like, not only am I loading thumbnails, bitch, I'm loading video trailers for you. So you better get used to it. I hope there's a setting to eventually turn that off because I don't always need the audio to play. So I don't need like something loud to just suddenly come at me like it used to happen in Netflix until I turned it off.
Oh yeah.
I guess I would say my least favorite thing is the fact of the that it's not HDMI 2.1. It's still 2.0. It's still nice to have that though. It no longer likes my receiver that works on HDMI 2.0A, so it hates 2.0.
Yeah, that's a weird issue you've got on that one, but
and the audio is still like Nintendo just paid Dolby the license already. Like, come on. Everything else I can run Dolby Digital on my ancient receiver, but since you only support linear PCM 5.1 and stereo, you had everybody so excited with 4K 120 FPS. Why did you skimp on the audio licenses? So that's my least favorite thing.
okay. I can see that. So I would probably go more of an 85 to 90 range. I haven't quite settled on it because sadly I've been really busy this week. So it's still been picking up where I can just pick it up like I do a Switch and still enjoy it on the go. And the more I play with it, like I love the design. There's the little, nitpicky things I've had, like hitting the edge of the controller with my hand just because I've got big fingers and the way it plays, or accidentally activating mouse mode. It's just growing pains of figuring it out, but it's a lot faster. Like the menu and operations, not just the eShop. I know that's your big thing, but like just in general, it's way faster. Like just like you, I've got a lot of digital titles on here from different stuff, or just the icons for all my cartridges show up. And now it does, I don't have to sit there and wait for it to load up because it goes down the line. It's just kind of like, here they are. They're already there. My favorite thing though is the fact that, like, here's a screenshot I took just before we did the show when I was messing around with Cyberpunk finally. It's already on my phone. I didn't have to go onto the Switch and tell it to transfer a group of them and point the camera at the damn QR code and switch to the Wi-Fi, get that connection, then pick those, get it to save individually, and then I can do something with it. It just did it, and I forgot about it until I was sitting here going, oh, they're already there. And you can even set it to do video that way. Like, that's great. Like, I do a lot of photography and I like messing with taking screenshots and things in games. So just like I like on Xbox where it just sends it to my phone, Switch 2 does that. And it's one of my favorite things for that.
Another thing I will mention, because now I'm going to go back to it. I don't know if I might even play it from the beginning now.
Uh-huh.
I might actually finish them. But the 2 Zelda games, holy cow! Not only with the item sharing and not only with the item storage, the biggest thing for me is kind of like the map app, because now, at least in the US, there's some contention with the other regions, but in the US, they brought back the voice actors to talk about points of interest in the game.
Yeah, they haven't confirmed if that's actually them. There's been some accusations they may have used AI,
I
which
don't think they did
I hope not.
with the English ones at all because I don't sense it at all. But the Spanish version, you can definitely hear it.
Oh, really? Yeah. Come on, Nintendo. You said you wouldn't do AI. Oh man. So, I'm super happy with how backwards compatibility has been handled. Like if you have to get rid of your Switch to afford to get a Switch 2, pretty good chance it's going to work fine. Most of your stuff will actually run better. There's a few things that kind of hurt not being able to play, Alien Isolation being one of them, because that is one of the best versions of the game is the Switch one, ironically. And if it would get any kind of enhancements to run on the Switch 2, that would kind of cement it as the definitive edition, which is
Yep.
surprising. Um, some of the Guilty Gears don't work right now, things like that. They're kind of having to finagle and work around. But I like to see that Nintendo is actively working on this,
Yeah,
and
and
that
they have like an updated list of how things are going.
list updated a lot before the Switch 2 came out.
Yeah.
One of the biggest reasons people were upset because this system did not get reviews beforehand. And I tried to explain to people, and this is a good reason why, the software was unfinished. Like some people got the Switch 2 early because, one idiot paid almost $1,000 to, I think, a Saudi Arabian dude to get it, but didn't buy any games with it. So when they went to play it, they put a Switch 1 game in and it said it could not play until it got online. So, of course, that started the whole thing of, oh, you have to be online to be able to set up a Switch 2. It was shown later it would play just fine on Switch 2 games. It was only backwards compatible because that wasn't on there yet. Nintendo, almost to the day of launch, was working on that. And I think like 2 or 3 days before launch, updated that list and dropped like hundreds of games from being worked on to compatible. Like they just cleared a lot of that list out. So they're actively doing it. I'm sure in the end there's going to be some games that don't work. But it's better than it could be. I do like the fact that my Switch 1 doesn't just go away. I can move things back and forth now. It is my secondary system, so I can do stuff on both of them very easily. And I kind of like the route Nintendo's taking with that, where I'm getting more of a physical setup with digital titles than I am for some of the other ones. I don't have to check in online. I just send it to it, and it's done, which is nice.
And on a happy note, a lot, unless they're game chat enabled, a lot of the game share games work on your Switch 1. They will stream it to Switch 1. There's no download required.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet, but it's kind of neat.
So I'm excited to try that because basically people who said they haven't upgraded, you can still share the Switch 2 experience with them by saying like, let me stream it to yours.
Yeah, it has to be local, but that's still cool.
Yeah, but if somebody comes over and says, I only have this one, be like, that's fine. We can still play Fast Fusion.
And Chase, like, I'm looking forward to when you get your Switch 2, because I think Game Share is going to be, or not even so much Game Share, but just Game Chat is going to be something we use. Because I want to just like connect my feed to this computer like I normally do, where we can stream. All of us can be seen on there while we're playing Mario Kart or playing something with each other.
He'll be the test because he's in New Zealand.
That's the other reason I want him to get it. Because I did notice like there was a network hiccup while me, you, and Rachel were playing, Steven, where it said that there was like like the network was kind of messed up and it stopped streaming the video. I had to go back in and reinitialize it. Didn't cut us out. We were still talking. It just went, hey, the video's not right, and just put us to voice, and that was it. Which I'm glad it did that instead of just canceling the whole chat.
But yeah, and I'd be interested how Chase feels when he can finally play the games he loves with the mouse.
Oh yeah, he'll be Civ 7 all day. So, all right. So I think we like the Switch 2. Sorry that we are enjoying ourselves, you freaking haters. Having fun with this thing. All right. So it's
unless you're enjoying No Man's Sky, then fuck you. Okay.
Fuck you, Steven. I'm going to go play No Man's Sky just because of that. Chase, you want to join me? It's got crossplay now.
I don't have it.
On anything?
No.
I'll buy it for you.
Perfect.
Oh, go to hell. I'm gonna find something y'all love and just shit all over it.
I would go to hell, but Majora's Mask is already there.
The Mask Salesman is terrifying. What the hell? Why do you hate everything I love? This is why my kids don't ever talk to you. You probably say shit to them too.
They'll probably get along and be like, S&T's awesome.
They like Majora's Mask and No Man's Sky, so they are my kids.
Some people like tomatoes. That's fine. Whatever.
Amanda doesn't. I do. Jennifer loves them. All right. So you can find the podcast in audio form if you're still listening to us after all this discussion. But you can find it wherever you listen to your shows, and the video version over at YouTube on our channel, Zenspath COM, or just zenspath.com without the period. Both can easily be found over at zenspath.com/podcast as well. Leave us a review if you can to help us grow, like and share the show with others, and leave us a comment on YouTube to let us know how you feel about the show and maybe answer the big question this week. Let us know how your Switch 2 launch experience was, what you like about it, what you don't like about it, what games have you tried out? Because that's the funny thing, we didn't really talk too much about the games themselves that we've gotten. You know, I'm just now getting into Cyberpunk. I'll be trying Yakuza tomorrow, and just kind of going from there. All right. Well, this has been episode 175 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Code in a box.
I'm really sorry for him, Hello Games.